Norman Greenbaum, Spirit in the Sky from Guardians of the Angels, Guardians of the Galaxy. Did you see that movie, Jim Norton?
No, I did not.
Has a fine soundtrack. I saw about 15, 20 minutes of it, and then my kid was a bit scared by all the evil in the early part of the movie. So I gotta watch the rest of it. I was so mad he couldn't handle it.
It's
a great movie.
And kids should be able to handle it, right?
Yeah, my daughter loves it. It's her favorite movie.
Well, how old is she?
5.5.
Fuck! Well, she's not much older than my son.
No, not much.
When does it switch where he can handle a little more?
She needs a tougher dad.
Yeah, that's what it boils down to.
Your son probably felt your fear.
It was actually me.
I said
like,
she. I said he needs that.
It all worked, though. Fuck.
I just strap her down like clockwork and make her.
But then he kept going back to the raccoon in the tree. He wanted to see the raccoon in the tree.
Sure, that's the gateway superheroes.
I know.
She's obsessed with Groot too.
Maybe I could get an edited version of the movie where it's just the raccoon in the tree. And
just show him videos of them, and then he'll end up liking them.
Well, then I had to explain makeup in movies and this and that, and then we had to go on YouTube and look at like normal people being turned into monsters because his little head doesn't understand. He sees that on TV. He thinks there's real fucking aliens out there.
Well, he's not wrong. According to some.
Well, Neil deGrasse Tyson will explain that later.
Yes.
There absolutely is life. There's life out there somewhere.
Neil can make anything sound interesting. Just the way he has such a nice, slow way of speaking.
Right.
I had coffee.
Right. He's very.
And you're like, ooh, do tell.
Yes. And what about that coffee?
He's got some show coming out now. What is it, Travis? Once a week now on Nat Geo?
Yeah, he's got a Nat Geo talk show. It's kind of based on his podcast.
Cool.
Very
I wouldn't know.
cool.
I've never been invited to do it.
Maybe you'll be invited now that it's going to be on television. Maybe he was just waiting for the TV version.
Let's hope.
What happened to Cosmos? That was great.
I guess it got canceled.
Why did it get canceled?
No.
It was probably too
It
expensive
did.
to make.
No, it's because people are fucking idiots and they weren't watching it because it's on Sunday night. It's all animation, and they put that on in the Family Guy slot at 9 o'clock, and people just wouldn't watch it for some reason.
Did it really get canceled because of ratings?
Yeah.
I didn't know. What channel was it on?
It was on a few, because it was Fox, it was
Right.
National Geographic, and one other.
Oh, yeah, it's hard to put that up against legitimate first-run Family Guy or fucking Simpsons.
It was amazing.
It wasn't against. They moved the time slots to put it in on Fox.
Oh, but
so
it was
it
just-
would be on in prime time.
Okay, but it was just wrong?
It was just probably the wrong day and time.
Okay.
It was well done.
It was very well done.
Did you see all of them? I saw about half the
I saw
season.
everyone, yeah.
Eric's a super Neil fan.
Are you really? E-Rock?
Yeah, I listened to his podcast, Star Talk.
His podcast?
Yes, podcast.
His podcast.
That's the one they do from Vietnam.
No.
Yeah, podcast. You missed Eric making a mistake.
Oh. He said
Don't worry, he'll make another.
Podast or
He said a podcast.
podcast or something like
I like his
that.
podcast.
I'm excited.
Well, this Paris thing everyone's talking about, manhunt for 2 Paris massacre suspects, yes. And this has a lot to do with Islam. Some people are saying it doesn't have as much to do with Islam. Of course it has a lot
Who
to
said
do
it
with
doesn't have anything to do
Islam.
with Islam? It's everything to do with Islam.
Yeah, there's an article in the paper because some people are trying to like push it like, it's just too fucking over-the-top wackos. It has a lot to do with Islam.
So if they were, like the same paper that said that, if they were 2 white supremacists that went out and say shut up a black church, would that same paper write the article going, this does not represent all white supremacists, that only represent, come on.
Right.
No one thinks it's all Muslims. Can we stop having people go on and go, all this is Islam is a religion of peace. Fine. We don't need to be told that every time. No one's attacking all of Islam. No one is saying all Muslims are guilty. Stop giving me that fucking. You know what? That's not meant to help Muslims. That's meant to protect the person about to make a statement against radical Muslims.
You obviously weren't on Facebook yesterday, Jimmy, because a lot of people are saying that the world will be safe when we get rid of every single Muslim.
Yeah, well, those people are morons. That's just silly.
There's 2.5 billion Muslims in the world.
That's just silly.
And that was a theme on Facebook yesterday when you search around that we'd be a much better world when every single Muslim's gone. That's just ridiculous.
Yeah, that's idiotic. But it's I'm just tired of politicians in general going up there and saying this is not. It's like just shut the fuck up and like stop soft soaping it before you tell me they're Islamic radical. We know that
They're extremists. They're saying Al Qaeda at this point, right?
Yeah, they said Al Qaeda. They said
they
from
were
Yemen.
screaming Al Qaeda, right? Saying Al Qaeda from Yemen, or we're from this and that.
I think they were screaming Allah Akbar and the Prophet is avenged. And I think that they told the woman who they forced to let in.
Right.
I think they told her, tell them Al Qaeda, or they told witnesses.
Yeah, but Al Qaeda has not taken responsibility yet.
Okay, maybe they just did it saying they were.
They sent like I guess one of their people tweeted to like the AP that this was a great thing, but we're not claiming responsibility for it.
Okay.
You guys say Al Qaeda?
Al Qaeda depends. Like
both,
Vietnam, whatever I'm in the mood for.
Vietnam.
Old school guys say Vietnam. This is awful. The video of the cop and the New York Post, by the way, I just tweeted out. They fucking what balls they had by printing the photo of this amazingly ballsy editor holding up his. I guess it was a rabbi pushing Muhammad in a wheelchair. And it's a take on a movie or something?
I guess. I
don't know.
I don't know what it means.
That guy had fucking balls,
Yeah.
the editor of this publication.
He had
How do you
tremendous
say
balls.
it? How do you say it? Charlie Hebdo?
Hebdo is, but I'm sure that we're saying that
It's
wrong.
Charlie Hebdo.
Everybody's saying Charlie Hebdo.
Is that, but what's the French way?
They're not really saying Charlie.
Hebdo.
I don't think they're saying Charlie, Sam.
I hate Sam's accent.
Because they're not really saying Charlie either. Charlie.
Sam would know. He lived in England.
That's right.
true.
Oh, yeah, you know a little French?
No,
That's
he
what I
doesn't.
do.
I took 2 years. Let me
I
try.
had a French kiss.
I took 2 years. Charlie Hebdo. Let's go with Charlie Hebdo.
Hebdo, I think is what they're saying.
But the editor was
Hebdo.
the editor had balls, man. He lived by the whole I'd rather live standing than on my knees,
I'd rather
or
live standing than die kneeling.
die kneeling,
Or
right?
die standing.
Or die
And live on my
standing.
knees.
What did I just say?
You said
I'm
live
sorry. I'm
standing.
sorry. I'd rather die. I'd rather live standing than live kneeling. Fair enough. I'd rather die standing. Yeah, that's a pretty nice
I'd
option.
rather just live.
The actual quote: "I prefer to die standing than live on my knees."
Yes, I've taken just the opposite tack in life. My behavior has not been that. But what balls this guy had, and all these journalists, Je suis Charlie, I guess, which means I am Charlie.
Right.
They're all showing solidarity. But if they-
Everybody is all over the internet yesterday.
Yeah, but the way to show solidarity, which is what the Post did, is they are printing a photo of this guy holding up that paper with that cover on it.
All right, we'll give him a little credit today, but then next week someone's going to say something stupid, and the Post will be crucifying that person and demanding they get fired. So
Yeah,
we have problems in this country. So it's nice that they're showing that picture today, but they've had a lot of opportunities over the years to protect people and their freedom of speech and their right to say
Absolutely.
some fucking edgy, crazy shit, and they took the opposite approach. So-
Absolutely. And the Daily News bleeped it out totally in their online feed.
Right.
But they have no problem printing text. It's just. You
Yeah.
guys are the news. You're the press.
Right.
You're the ones that are supposed to do this stuff because that is like legitimately news.
This is real news, and like you said, they blacked it out or they fuzzed it out.
Yeah.
But yeah, yesterday they had Steve Kroft's fucking lame ass
Text
messages about taking Viagra and wanting to eat some pudding.
Yeah, like that's important, but they can't.
And one of the papers now has the picture of the mistress leaving her Upper East Side apartment yesterday. So,
And the problem, and people have compared this to the Sony hacks, and they're saying, well, the people in the press, hey, look, they have every right to worry about their safety. Just like the difference is, Sony's a dumb entertainment company, and they came out and pretty much said we're scared.
Yeah.
We don't want a violent attack. We're afraid.
yeah.
If the press would just admit we're scared of Islamic radicals and we don't, I would respect that because
Right.
I don't want to get shot by an Islamic radical.
Right.
But they don't say that. They say things like, "Well, we don't want to offend Islam."
Right.
But when it was Piss Christ, they didn't mind showing that.
Right.
They didn't mind putting a photo of that. That was when a guy doing some art project or whatever, he pissed in a jar and he dropped a crucifix in. Stupid, but that was his art.
And Bill Donahue had a major problem with Piss Christ. As
Yeah, a lot of
well,
them people did, yeah.
Who runs the Catholic League. I was born Catholic and raised Catholic. That stuff never bothered me. Who cares? What does that mean in the end?
Yeah, it's silly.
You're not allowed to make fun of some of these deities.
Well, they're the only ones. Islam are the only ones I know. And this is where Ben Affleck, I thought, just kind of made an ass out of himself on Bill Maher. Because he was accusing Bill Maher and his guest of, like, that's racist. But they were being really reasonable.
Yeah.
And they weren't saying all Muslims. It was nothing like that. But Bill Maher said something like, they will kill you for writing something. He's like, oh, that's ridiculous.
Right.
And that's exactly why this guy was
That's exactly
killed.
what happened.
That's exactly why he was killed.
You
Right.
feel silly today?
Well, no, because he's probably a guy at parties who everyone listens to, and they're like, oh boy, Ben's passionate. And he means well, but he's just a deluded ass, and he wasn't listening to what the other two guys were saying.
Right. And if there is a God, if there are gods, whatever God you believe in, I think he could handle a little jab every once in a while. I think he's way above all that shit, right?
Yeah.
If there is one, even.
Yeah, well, this just changes my whole act. It's going to be too sad. I'll be in Long Island all weekend, but it's going to be sad, folks. I'm just going to do a tribute.
My gut just fucking got so sick
I
when
was just kidding.
the police officer begging for his life.
Yeah.
That my gut just fucking. I've never felt like that before in my life. He had his hands up on the sidewalk and he did a quick plea, and they fucking just
Right in the head.
crucified him.
And I love when they show
CNN showed it right to the last second, and
Yeah.
I'm just like, ugh.
and then they put like they black it out real quick, and then they show the guy walking
Right.
away.
Which, by the way, I'll take this moment to beat up CNN a little bit more. That is so much more disturbing than some fucking idiot saying fuck on New Year's Eve or whatever while you're doing a live broadcast. Who cares if someone curses? Right?
Yeah.
That was gut-wrenching to see that cop on the sidewalk with his hands up, and he knows he has maybe 2 to 3 seconds tops to beg for his life. And CNN showed it, everybody is showing it, actually, showing it play out. But the next time someone curses on the air, oh my God, let's stop everything and apologize immediately. Right?
Yeah.
That's ridiculous to me.
They must have been so scared when those animals broke into the newsroom because they demanded to be let in. They were yelling like Allahu Akbar, whatever,
Right.
and there was a board meeting,
Right.
And they were asking for him by name, and I think the other cartoonist, Jean or Jean Cabo or whatever, who was 76 years old. And
Why wouldn't you just go, oh, he called out sick today?
believe me, I'm sure every other hand pointed. Oh, that's the. You know how fucking fast my hand would go up if a guy walked in going, "Who's Opie?" Oh, he is. He is, sir.
Jimmy.
He is, sir.
Thanks a lot.
Yes, I'm Ahmed Norton.
Wow, there's the humor. I mean, this is a horrific story, and it's very tragic, but man, that's fucking funny. You think everyone just went, oh, boy.
Oh, but how many fucking 11 hands
I think
pointing?
he's in the bathroom. Let me go get him.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, and this guy is like, he is outside. I will go find him for you and bring him back in an hour.
They had a rocket launcher, I heard.
Yeah, I mean, they were ready to do tremendous damage.
They meant business.
Yeah, I mean, they were probably ready to go down dying for it if they had to.
So what are the bullet points here, Travis? I see you made it all nice for us here.
I did.
3 masked gunmen killed 12 people. We know that. Payback for mocking the Prophet Muhammad.
I think, by the way, these guys had security. They did have security, but I think they got lax because they had gotten so many threats and they probably got so many calls and stuff. I think after a while, and there was some kind of an attack in 2011, like a firebombing.
Yeah.
And then, a week later, they still were making fun of Islam, which is great.
And
But why would you have an office where everyone knew where you were? You know what I mean? Wouldn't you
know.
go a little bit more underground somehow?
well, you have to pray. But if it wasn't there, it would be. There has to be a place. They would find out who the cartoonists are.
Yeah, but
and
then
we'll
would you
there.
be criticizing them for, not being public?
I don't know.
Like
I don't,
hiding, like the same thing, like hiding behind a fake name?
that's a ballsy world to live in, though, man.
Yeah, putting images of Muhammad, because they've said if you put images of Muhammad, we'll kill you. And they did.
I read that this week they sent a mocking tweet to an
ISIS, yeah.
to an ISIS leader,
Jesus.
and this guy, the editor,
Right.
ran a cartoon titled "Still No Attacks in France," and it had a cartoon of a Muslim fighter saying, "Just wait, we have until the end of January to present our New Year's wishes."
Yeah, it's almost like if you're going to taunt them and make a point, that's one thing. But if you're getting threatened by those guys, and then you're almost saying we dare you to do it,
Yeah.
it's like then you're almost. It's like, what are you doing? Mm-hmm. That's just a stupid thing to do. Like, if you're making fun
They
of
did it
something.
to everybody, though. I mean, they
did? Okay.
I mean, they did it to the Pope. They did it to Jews. Like they would do cartoons about everybody.
Yeah, but I mean, this was we dare you to attack almost, and it's like that was just stupid. But it's terrible that he got shot.
They
Terrible.
got ballsy. 7 people have been arrested so far as police hunt for 2 of the suspects who are brothers born in Paris. One of
I
them.
guess now they've been located.
Yeah,
That's the latest.
but they don't have him in custody, right?
No.
One of them was convicted of terrorism in 2008. So why isn't he serving time if he was convicted of terrorism in 2008? After helping fighters join the insurgents fighting the U.S.-led coalition to Iraq. Police were able to identify the gunman after one of them dropped his national identity card in the getaway car.
I'll do it again. Your son! Fuckhead that he is. Left his driver's license in that guy's hand.
Why would you put that in your front pocket?
I don't know.
And whose
Just
shoe?
don't bring it with you when you're going to go create.
Well, if you
commit
get pulled
mass murder.
over.
That's true.
All I
Good
want to
point.
know. All I want to know
Follow the
is
law.
whose shoe did he pick up in the street? You saw the video a ton, right? The getaway car.
Oh,
He
I
bends down and picks up a shoe. Whose shoe was that? It fell out of the car?
I don't know. I didn't see the video.
You haven't seen any of these videos?
No,
You
They're
avoid
not-
this stuff.
I don't avoid it, but like if I don't see it, I don't see it.
It's smart.
Those
It's
are
smart
loud
not to see some of
gunshots,
this
man.
stuff.
Loud gunshots.
But one of the guys picked up a shoe before they jumped in the getaway car on the passenger
It
side.
is his favorite shoe.
Yeah.
His lucky shoe.
Third suspect turned himself in. Really? So one of the guys turned himself in.
Yeah.
After seeing his name on the news. He is reportedly 18 years old and the brother-in-law of the other suspects.
Avenge the prophet. Like, that's the thinking with these religious fanatics. It's like, how do you reason with someone that thinks we have to avenge the prophet? Let's go murder the people at the newspaper or the parody magazine. How do you deal with that mentality?
And you know, we all sit up at night wondering how the world's going to end. This is how the world ends. You know that, right? As more and more years go by and the weaponry gets even more advanced, then you get these fucking extremists that end up getting some real shit in their possession. That's how the world will end. That's why we
CNN
need...
gets to air that video.
Ooh.
True, before they say...
Did you see that?
What? No.
Yeah, it was leaked, like, I think late last week or early this week, that Ted Turner always said that he had this video
Right.
that CNN was going to stay on the air during the end of the world.
Right.
And then the last person alive in the building had to play this video. And it was always this big rumor that this video existed, and somebody leaked it last week.
Oh, my God.
Like,
What
it
is the
actually
video?
exists.
Who is it for?
They're gonna air it.
It was for the last thing to air on CNN during the end of the
It
world.
was for Ted Turner's ego.
Ego, yeah.
They found it like
Because no one would watch it.
they went through all the databases or whatever, and they found a thing that said Turner Doomsday Video, and this was because he wanted to.
Wait, scroll back down. It said HFR hold for release until end of the world confirmed.
Yeah.
Oh, that's amazing.
So he wanted to be like he said when he launched CNN.
Right.
He goes, "We're going to be on the air. It's going to be an all news network, and we will remain on the air until the end of the world." And he believed it. And he had this video. It's like a band just playing the world out.
Yeah.
Who around here would be that guy?
Eric.
Where the world is ending and he has to stay here to the last moment.
I'm like the fucking band on the Titanic. I'm going down with the ship.
There's no
You would
fucking
leave.
way.
Get out of this, okay? You guys stay here.
You'd actually padlock the door shut on your way out, so we were trapped. Bag of shit.
No, but you guys, we're a team. We're all going down
No.
together.
Hell no.
You missed the obvious answer, although that's very funny. Dennis Falcone would be the guy.
Oh, yeah.
He would be
I
the guy. All right, so just let me know when it's the end of the world
He would
and I'll
consider
push
it his
play.
big break.
As the world was ending, I thought we would all want a little levity. That's the role of the radio DJ.
It would be sad that that would be his big break and no one would ever know. That's Dennis
Ramp this
Falcone.
up.
You think he would play this
Yeah, exactly.
With
Yes. It would be the end of the world.
with his weak radio voice?
It would be the end of the world, but instead of taking any time on the air, he still would be ramping up songs. He'd still be talking in 10-second increments.
Well,
instead
why
of
don't we
actually saying
bring
anything.
Dennis
himself extra
Falcone in here to talk about what songs he would play if it was the end of the world?
Yeah, let's take a vote. Jim, do you want Dennis Falcone?
No,
stuff?
I know.
Why?
In the middle of this? No, not really.
What? 1 hour? He's got 1 hour to play songs with the end of the world theme?
How about this? How about Dennis writes a note and Sam gets it and then Sam reads it later?
You sure?
Absolutely.
Like what time?
I don't know. I think the bit's working, and now you get Dennis Falcone come in here
Yeah, nah, I don't think we need him.
with his end of the world hour. What he would pick to play?
Not for you?
Not at all.
What?
So that's one vote no.
Yeah, big, loud one.
This kind of should be a unanimous decision.
I agree,
think.
yeah.
Yeah.
I would probably boo.
All right, here he comes down the hall.
No,
though. But he's not ready. I don't want him just coming in here and guessing.
No, not at all.
He's got to tell him he's got to put together the last hour of music if the world was ending. Okay. All right, that's his assignment today, and then we can get back.
He can email it.
You're not ready, Dennis.
No.
You're not ready. You don't even know what you. All right, he's turning around. He's going back to his desk. Which, by the way,
radio on Earth.
Cool.
Okay.
He just said cool, and he's walking back to his area.
What's
Which,
the video?
by the way, we're getting to the video. Dennis Falcone, his area was the last area to get carpet down.
You should have seen him. He came in yesterday. He was so pissed because they tear up the carpet and then they put glue down on it so you can't be there. And nobody told him they were doing it.
Oh, good.
So he walked in yesterday and his whole desk was roped off.
Oh, good.
And he goes, "Oh, come on! I took yesterday off and they didn't do it then."
Because most of the rug was done during the break. And they know that Dennis really isn't using that area, so they could do it when everyone's back to work.
Is it okay if we do this once it's busy? What, that area? Oh, yeah, that's fine.
I hope he was walking around nude and fell in the rug glue. Got the tip of his cock ripped off the skin.
And had to rip his pubic hair out.
Oh, great. You
There
must
it
got a
is.
cock picture.
He's got the picture. Dennis Falcone's area was the last area to be carpeted. Anyway, this is the end of the world video from CNN and Ted Turner.
Yeah.
How long is it?
It's
40 seconds.
Yeah, it's a minute.
Oh, wow.
Wow, he has one hell of an ego if he put this whole thing together.
And it really is just like it's a band. I think the network launched with like the national anthem or something like that.
What year
Right.
did they make this?
Right in the 80s.
Yeah, I think when the network was launched.
Which was when? I don't remember.
I think early 80s
Early
for
80s,
CNN, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's in beautiful 4:3 standard definition.
Nice.
Yeah, they didn't.
Did
They
they
haven't
redo
upgraded
it?
it. I mean,
They should, because everyone's going to have HD TVs.
Yeah, but once like AOL took over Time Warner, and then all these things started happening. Ted Turner was the only guy whose ego was big enough to actually think that they should have
okay.
something ready to play at the end of the
He's
world.
embarrassed that this is out.
I would think so.
He's an old man now, though, right?
Actually, he probably thinks he's like, good. People are going to know that CNN is the place.
He's proud that this is now out.
Right, he
Because
doesn't see it as embarrassing.
He doesn't have anything to do with CNN anymore, right?
No.
He sold it a long time ago.
Oh,
I don't think he has his hands in it
No.
in
He's just
any
being
way.
like, yeah, me too, Donald Trump. Neither of us get flus. Also, I created a video
How much
for
is
the
he
end
worth?
of the world.
And how old is he? Like 80?
He's got to be in his 80s by now, I would assume. You're going to put him on the list of guys that have never had the flu?
Yeah, in their own heads, yes.
Donald Trump and Ted Turner are on the list.
Yeah, that's right.
All right, we got to add to that list, too. Let's play the video.
It's called Nearer My God to Thee.
Okay. Oh, my God. Just the band playing this in front of whose house? Is that Ted Turner's house?
Yeah. And there's a giant pool of water in front of them, and camera work's all shitty.
Right.
They just show bad angle of someone fucking conducting. Oh, yuck.
Why wouldn't you play like Benny Hill music or something?
Yeah.
Keep it upbeat.
Oh, this is the song that supposedly the band was playing on the Titanic.
Oh, all right.
That means something to the whole world. A ship that went down in 1912. We should all die that way. 8 billion of us.
Why wouldn't you keep it upbeat?
Plus, this band is not going down with the ship. They recorded this 100
Yes.
years before the world
And it's
ended.
all low recording.
I'd go with Who Let the Dogs Out, right? Why would you do this to the people?
I don't know if they had access to Who Let the Dogs Out.
Who the fuck would watch this as the world is ending?
Oh, God, what a horrible idea from Ted Turner.
Awful.
Really makes you think, doesn't it? No,
No,
I'm
it
panicking.
doesn't.
The
I'm
world is
annoyed.
ending.
I'm annoyed. I want to get blown one more time. Turn the band off. They're awful. I can't hear them.
How about we should play this as the
Whoop on Gangnam
Yeah, of
Style.
course.
What's this? This new?
No, it's not.
I thought you were hip.
This needs a metal cover.
Fuck yeah.
All right, what else we got on this this Paris thing? Manhunt for 2 Paris massacre suspects continues. They reportedly bragged that they belong to Al-Qaeda. We covered that part of it. 8 journalists, 2 police officers, a maintenance man, and a visitor were killed.
What shitty luck to be at the facility that day.
Visiting? You had your visitor's pass?
Oh.
No, I'm just a visitor.
Yeah, you're holding that up, going, look, I have nothing to do with
I
this.
hate these guys. Yeah.
They gained entrance into the building after forcing a cartoonist and her child to let them in.
And they didn't kill her or the kid. I don't know why.
No, then they like ran away.
Oh, they just let them in.
Yeah.
Okay. They probably wanted to get in and before they started shooting.
Wasn't there another person walking a dog or something, and they let that person go? Or they gained entrance into the building after four. Yeah, I let them in. They then went into an editorial board meeting. We did that. Yeah. So fuck.
You wonder if they knew that was happening at the moment, or that was just what they, you know, like did they break in at that time so everyone would be in the same room, or?
Oh, they knew. They certainly had surveillance. They knew when would be a perfect time to do this.
What time did it happen in France?
Like right in the middle of the day.
No, I think it happened in the morning. Wasn't this
Maybe
on,
late morning?
This was on the news, like...
No, but the time there, is that different or the same time as us? It's probably a different time.
Oh, very.
Yeah, France is the same time zone.
Well, no, it's not, but I'm saying, so what time was it there?
Oh, I think they're like 8 hours ahead.
It was probably late morning, if I had to guess.
They are 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 1, 6 hours ahead.
I'm an idiot.
6 hours ahead of us.
But it happened about an hour before we even got on the air yesterday, so it might have been 11:30ish,
That's probably about right.
12ish, somewhere around there. I would guess right around noon.
Why would they attack when half the building was out on lunch?
Huh?
Why would they attack at lunchtime?
Does France go at that hour? They have weird fucking things in France where they take breaks. Don't they? Doesn't everybody go home at one point and have like a wine? Or,
Siesta?
yeah, they're really weird with their work hours.
They have their own little siesta. It's wine and cheese every day.
Oh.
Yeah. Some of that smelly cheese, too. They go all in with their cheese.
And they all come back with smelly cheese breath?
Smelly cheese breath, and they're a little out of sorts. But then you could deal with your fucking fellow employees.
Ah, I see.
Let's say hi to Scott and Philly. Scott.
Hey, boys.
I got it.
So there's this book that's called The Day of Wrath.
Right.
This guy who basically has been researching ISIS. It's a fictional book, but it came out like 2 weeks before all the news about ISIS.
Yeah.
And it's how all these radical Islamists are preparing to come over. They sneak over on ships through Mexico, and then there's people that bring them over the borders. And what they do, they start attacking schools and killing kids. And then as the parents see this on the news, they all go run to get their kids, and there's different pods of these terrorists that are all set up, and they're just going up and down the highway, wiping people out, and it's this big, huge attack. And it's fictional, but it gives a pretty realistic and eye-opening account of what can possibly happen and how these radical Islamists can really, really put a huge, kill a lot of people.
I don't know how the world figures this one out, man. The extremists, it's just going to get more and more complicated to really keep control of this. Huh?
It's just insane the way that these guys think and the way that you think that you think you're safe. But yet, I mean, it makes sense. You think they can come over on these ship containers into Mexico, and then they have people paid off to transport these guys over the border, which happens every day with illegal immigrants. And then they have these people set up throughout the country that have been stockpiling weapons. And I mean, these guys have been trained since the day they were born to kill.
Right.
So they have all the signals set up. They don't use cell phones or computers. It's just like they're programmed. And when they're told to go, they just go, and they know when to do it.
So how are we going to figure this out in the end? How the hell is the world going to figure this one out? Because in the old days, we had a problem with a country. All right, we know that country's bad. We can take care of the issue and the problem. This one, man, how do you figure this out?
Well, one thing we should not do is start. I don't like when the government makes it look like that by going to mosques you're going to get these people. I mean, you'll never find them in mosques. You know, it's fucking ridiculous. Of course, that's where they are. But you try to put surveillance on a mosque. Why should a religious institution be above surveillance or not allowed to be bugged or not? Why not?
Right.
Why can't you? Why is that so sacred? If that's what the group, whatever it is.
Right.
If they were going after pedophiles in the church and they decided to bug the church or whatever, good,
right.
do it.
Well,
if you try to infiltrate a mosque or send people into, it's a major problem. I don't know why people would be upset by that.
Yeah, I think this is going to be just a fucking nightmare as we move forward.
Although it gets harder and harder for them, I think, to pull things off. So many more things are stopped than actually go down. Like, there's been a lot of these that are stopped.
Yeah.
Because I think that the police work and the intel gets better and better, too.
Right.
So while it looks like, well, this happens, oh my God, we're losing control, what we forget is they've probably stopped 30 of these. They just can't stop every one.
And I love the show of support Paris showed.
Sure.
Where what was the sign? It said, I'm not afraid, or we're not afraid.
Yeah.
And a lot of people came out. I really thought that would have scared the shit out of a whole bunch of people over there in Paris, but
yeah,
they came out in droves supporting
holding
what happened.
That cover-up would have been a great sign of support.
Right.
A bunch of people on the street doing that.
But then it's one of those things, now that cover is everywhere. So many more people are now seeing this image that they didn't want anyone to see, and that's why they went in and killed all those people. So
he was making fun of them. They were making fun of. He was making fun of Muhammad and the religion, and they just didn't like it. That's all it is. They didn't like it, and they wanted to stop. It was a much higher level than what everybody does. Most people go like, "I don't like it, so I want you to get fired. I don't like it, I'd like you to get in trouble." This guy, these people just kill you.
Right. All right, Scott.
I'll tell you what I've done, and this might be a little extreme, but my 9-year-old son Aziz, when he came over yesterday, I waterboarded him down in my basement, but, I just wanted to make sure that I was being safe.
Your phone crapped out, brother. What's that?
I said my 9-year-old son's friend, Aziz.
Is his phone fucked up?
Yesterday.
You said you have a 9-year-old son, Aziz.
In school?
No, he's got a friend, and he came over yesterday, and I waterboarded him just to be
We
safe.
heard you!
Thank you, sir. Let's go to Joe in Rochester, New York, the home of Brother Weeze. Joe.
Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning.
Hello, Joe.
Hey, I apologize. I'm a little congested. I'm sick. Great show, Jimmy, in Buffalo on New Year's.
I know.
Seems like a lot of people went from Rochester to Buffalo to see the little Jimmy Norton.
Thank you, buddy.
So, anyways, what I was talking about, this is something we're going to see happening in the United States. And like that last guy was talking about, I'm a retired Marine, and I was a counterintelligence operator, and worked with counterinsurgency operations and stuff. And these guys are all over the place. They work in small cells. Hamas was founded out of Michigan, and all these other cell groups and stuff like that. And police, Jimmy, you're talking about police intelligence, and the police departments do try to gather as much intelligence as they can, but the sad thing is they're underfunded compared to like naval intelligence,
right,
and all those other groups and stuff like that. And it's going to become an epidemic around here, where you're going to see roadside bombings, you're going to see controlled killings, baited ambushes, and all this other crazy shit. And it's just going to be sad. It's going to be really, really bad, because there's no way to really track these people. They use their cell phones, take out the SIM card, put in another SIM card, and it's very difficult to track them and follow them. They're just sneaky bastards, and they're just fucking murderers. They kill you just as before they even fucking spit at you.
Unbelievable.
I'm sorry that my call sucks.
That's fine.
No,
thanks.
you're giving us some information.
But I spent 5 years. I did 5 tours in the Middle East as a Marine, and they're savages. I people all the time. Well, can't you talk to them? These people are ready to cut a woman's head off because she drove a car. They were throwing acid on little girls trying to go to school, and you saw that police officer that was unarmed, begging for his life, laying on the ground, and that fucking animal just came up and shot him right in the head and just left him.
Unbelievable.
And the scarier thing is these ISIS guys are twice as savage as these guys are dealing with in the French attack. The ISIS guys are twice as nasty. They wouldn't have left anybody alive. They would have killed everybody.
Well, we kind of know that by now.
Well, who do they leave alive in this place? Did they leave a lot of people alive?
Oh, sure.
I don't know how many people were.
I'm sure there were way more than 12 people in
They
the...
killed a third of the staff, so...
Oh, a third, okay.
Well, there were certainly a lot more people in there. They could have just mowed everyone down. But they wanted certain people.
Sorry, they did what's known as like a hard hit, and they attacked a specific target, and that's what they were going there for. They weren't going to take their time with killing other people and slowing them down. They went there to go hit specifically that boardroom at that time because they knew that was that meeting. Go, kill, do, get out. All right, the police officer saw us, so we'll have to deal with him real quick. Now we just got to drop in the car and go. If they had stayed, they probably could have gotten held up and surrounded, and then it would have turned into a hostage thing and stuff like that. They went, did the hit, and left. That's what their whole plan was.
How fast was the whole thing? Does anyone
5
know?
minutes.
It was 5
Under
minutes.
5 minutes. And they wanted to get away, but that guy leaves his license. What a dumb motherfucker. Leaves his license. Fuckhead that he is. That's his license. What an idiot.
All right, Joe.
They
thank
wanted
you.
to get away. Like they did. They weren't looking to suicide, but they wanted to get the fuck out of there
Yeah.
and hide.
And then what happened?
Well, your son, fuckhead that he is, leaves.
Dave in Canada. How are you, Dave? What's up?
Good, boys. How are you today?
Hi, Dave.
Oh, it's more of this. It's more of this.
Exactly.
Well, the good news is Canada welcomed Bill Cosby with open arms.
Yeah, what's wrong with you people?
That's good.
You had what? I think Cosby, just for the people that don't know, started performing again last night in Canada.
Good.
And you had about 12 protesters outside yelling at the people that had tickets. And inside, Bill Cosby gets a standing ovation from you people.
It wasn't me.
No, I know. But
And three more accusers came forward yesterday.
More people protested Ann Coulter speaking at a college than they did this guy with a fucking 20 rape accusations.
Right. But his TV wife, though, is sticking up for him.
What I'm going to say this about Felicia Rashad. What a cunt.
Wow, you're going there with this.
Of course I am. She comes out and she says, forget these women. What you're seeing is the destruction of a legacy, and I think it's orchestrated. Yeah, you're right. They all got together and decided to bring down the cause at age 77.
She's nuts.
She's a cunt. I don't know why or who's doing it, but it's the legacy, and it's a legacy that's so important to the culture. What culture do you mean? Are you talking about black people? Because he's a positive role model for black people, rape accusations should be wiped out? What a fucking dummy she is.
Completely out of touch.
What a dummy.
So all those women are just nuts.
Yeah, I'm not
coming
saying
forward, right?
I'm not saying you have to believe all those women. You can believe Bill Cosby, but to say that they're all getting together and orchestrating it, you're just an asshole.
How many women have come forward? Well over 20.
Yeah.
Over 20.
There's
So-
3 more yesterday.
So I mean, if you look at stats in general, maybe a few of them are like maybe exaggerating a little bit,
Sure.
maybe even go as far to say it never happened to them. Maybe
Yeah, some of them might be lying.
But if you got over 20, safe to say that Bill Cosby does some really shitty things to women.
Yeah. I don't believe there's that many, and a lot of them have backups. People said, no, she told me about this 30 years ago. So Felicia Rashad is just a fucking twat. A twat for saying that.
She should keep her mouth shut.
Yeah, or just, I don't like...
no, don't keep your mouth shut. I don't mind that.
Yeah, give your opinion,
that
but...
you spew your dumb shit.
But whole thing, it's important to the culture. Fuck the culture. If protecting him, if he possibly did this, helps your culture, then your culture is shitty and needs a lot more help. You know what I mean? If
Right.
if you want these, if you want to just blow off all of these rape accusers, even the ones that said it 35 years ago, and that's that's what's convinced me was that some of the, like one of the women who made the introductions goes, no, she told me this when she came back. There's like little shit like that made me believe them.
Right. So
fuck Felicia Rashad.
Yeah, he wasn't the same guy as he was on TV. That's becoming pretty damn obvious.
Well, the TV wife would know if the TV husband was out doing it. I mean, who else would know? Who would know?
Right.
Like Stephen Collins, all of his people, they knew he was showing his dick to children, but they hung out with him anyway.
Right.
Shut up, fucking Felicia.
Anyway, Dave, what do you got?
Well, you were sitting there worried about, these terrorist attacks and, what the hell are you going to do to stay safe and stuff. And you look at the stats and stuff, like there's 30 people per day in the United States that are murdered just because this one incident and these terrorist attacks are a large group of people at one time. I said, I wouldn't be worried about the terrorists. I'd be worried about, walking down the street somewhere and, some other freak, no religious.
Well, no, hold on. What do you mean? Can I ask, what do you mean by that? Other freak, other religious? Are you saying, like, we shouldn't worry about Islam?
No, not,
oh, okay.
like a non-religious person. Like, doesn't have a religious affiliation. Just a crazy person or someone who's disgruntled and pulls out a gun and shoots somebody, right?
I understand what you're saying. I mean, the odds are that you would be murdered by somebody else besides before a terrorist. But what I said earlier, these attacks I think are going to become more frequent and more quote impressive, meaning they're going to be able to get even more things done.
That's true. That is true. But like I said, but the average citizen in the States can do the exact same thing. It's just you got to not worry about it. Live your life without worrying about this stuff so much. That's what I'm trying to get to, kind of thing.
Right.
You're a dad. I'm a dad. I got 3 small kids and stuff. And if you look at all the stuff in the paper and worry about it every day, you'd never fucking live your life.
Right.
Yeah.
No, I hear you. I hear you. But this is very alarming.
Oh, absolutely.
And it's very complicated, and it's not easy because we don't really know where our enemy is. They're hiding in the shadows all over the place, all over the world. They're hiding in the shadows. There was a time, past generations, you knew exactly who the enemy was and how to handle them.
Yeah.
This one's very complicated. No one has a real solution to this one.
Exactly, and a lot of that sort of action started like back in Vietnam. There was several people that just you didn't know who the actual enemy was because it didn't wear a uniform. Walking through the streets. So
right. All right, Dave. Thanks.
Thanks, guys.
Don't stand up for Cosby, please.
I will not. I will definitely be one of the 12 protesters next time if it fucking warms up.
I don't care that people went and saw Cosby. I really don't. But to stand there and give him a standing ovation, that part is ridiculous.
It really is. Like, how can you think all of these women just made it up? That's the problem I have.
Right.
If it was 1 or 2 people, fuck yeah, support the guy. Because a couple of people, it just seems like it's too many to be bullshit.
And Mike in New York saying that she's trying to protect her own career because all she has is the Cosby
residuals.
show.
Yeah, that might be a great point too.
Well, you're not going to help the situation. You're just not. Thank you, Dave. I'm hearing Piers is here.
Yeah. Okay.
Hey.
Is he coming down the hall right now?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Mike, we said your point, actually. I meant to hang up on you. You want to just say hi? Say hi.
How's everybody doing?
Hello,
Mike.
Mike.
Good. Have a good day. Mikey. He was the one with she's trying to protect her own career.
Yeah, I think so. I think that's a good point. But forget these women. Like, that's what annoys me.
Just how she said it.
It's not even in defense of Bill necessarily.
Well orchestrated by the media, I think she said.
Who cares about his legacy and the culture? What does that mean? It's important for the culture.
His legacy now sucks.
Yeah.
He wasn't the guy, in my humble opinion, that everyone thought he was. No, right?
He absolutely was not. He was a great comedian. But you could always tell there was some... And I like that he spoke his mind publicly and he said a lot of things that annoyed people. Like, I kind of like that. But he never had the balls to say it on stage.
Kirkpatrick said she met Cosby at a tennis club in Vegas in '81. When she was 25, she said Cosby invited her to a party in his hotel room and offered her a fruity drink, and she woke up hours later with Cosby on top of her, kissing her. One of the 3 accusers from yesterday. Neil told a similar story, saying she also met Cosby in her 20s at a tennis club. Neil said she went out to dinner with Cosby and began feeling woozy after drinking a shot of vodka, which Cosby had ordered for her. She said Cosby had sex with her while she was still disoriented, and she has no recollection of how she got home that night. That's the second accuser that came out yesterday, and I think there's a third. I don't know her story real fast. Casey said she met Cosby through her old boss, we got Piers? All right, we'll get back to that. Piers Morgan.
We do hugs around here.
Good to see you again.
Hey, Piers, how are you, buddy?
Good to see you.
What's going on?
Yeah, I'm good, mate, thank you.
Are you back in New York for a little while?
Yeah, a few days in LA.
You don't live here anymore, huh?
I don't, no.
Since the whole CNN thing.
Yeah, it all just got a bit too cold. So
I got to tell you.
In every sense.
Yeah.
Piers, I didn't necessarily agree with some of the things you said on your CNN show, but I got to tell you, I missed the hell out of you. They are boring. You were brave and said some things that weren't popular, and you challenged your guests, and they got rid of you. and I'm not happy about that.
Yeah, it wasn't as brutal as it sounds, I guess, in the sense that I did 3.5 years, 1,300 shows. I mean,
Wow.
it's a lot of airtime, and I sort of felt by the end that it had gone from being a more conventional interview show with big stars, opinion makers, and so on, into a slightly more confrontational news show.
Mm-hmm.
And the confrontation I kept having was with the gun lobby.
Right.
And there comes a point, and I made this point at the time, that you run a risk of, particularly if you're a visitor in somebody else's home, if every time you go there you say exactly the same thing and the people that are there don't agree with you, it becomes a war of attrition,
right?
Which is probably not that helpful in the end to the general debate. I don't think I really achieved very much in the gun debate, other than annoy a lot of people here who love their
annoyed a
guns.
lot of people.
And I would rather have been more constructive, perhaps. And
In fairness, there's nothing. No one's going to achieve anything in the gun debate. Like people, that's one. It's like abortion. There will never be a moment where one side crosses over to the other with either of those
I
issues.
sort of agree with that, but I think there's also there's a sense, I think, that you can reach points of consensus which make it just safer.
Mm-hmm.
I think that the word that everybody hates in America is control. I think that phrase gun control is a really poisonous, toxic phrase which just it winds the hell out of people. And I think if you changed it just simply to gun safety and worked on both sides to try and make things safe. I mean, stories happen all the time in America which, to people who are not American, seem completely baffling. And an example I'll give you is the woman last week, I think it was, a tragic story. She was took her 4 kids to Walmart. They're all young kids. One of them's a 2-year-old boy. Her husband for Christmas had given her a special handbag with a little pocket where she could put a loaded firearm. She had a concealed carry permit. And she took it in there with these 4 kids. And like all 2-year-olds do, the first moment his mum turned her back, he rummaged around, pulled out the gun and shot her dead in the middle of Walmart. Now, what was interesting to me about that is, to anyone outside America, to anyone in Europe where guns just aren't that prevalent, it seemed absolutely extraordinary. Then you discover she's a nuclear scientist. Right? She's one of the smartest women in America.
Oh, no kidding.
Right. And
what is she doing in Walmart?
Right, well, yeah, that's one question. But
good place for value.
But I think it was an amazing thing. Whereas a lot of Americans immediately went into, on Twitter and stuff, I noticed, into trying to justify it and trying to frame it in the context of, well, she just wasn't being a responsible gun owner, rather than saying this is insane that any mother would do this. Go to Walmart with a gun in a handbag and let a kid take it out. So I think that there are incidents like that when,
but there is irresponsibility there. You're a parent. I mean, if you had a gun, I wouldn't have it just like that ever.
Right. So that's what I mean, though. That's when I think that when those kind of stories happen, the pro-gun lobby ought to be the first to raise their hands and say, we need to change the thinking of people, nuclear scientists down, to say that this is not a responsible way to handle firearms in this country, in a country where the place is swimming in them.
But wouldn't they say, I to be honest, I don't care for the NRA, but I do think they would say that. I think they would come out and say, she was irresponsible. You're not ever supposed to leave a weapon in a place where a 2-year-old can grab it. Like, I do think that they would agree with you on
but
that.
take the other story which horrified me recently, was that the 9-year-old girl at the Nevada range, or Arizona I think it was.
Sure.
Taken by her parents as a treat to a range called Bullets and Burgers, right? And she's 9 years old, she's tiny, and you watch the video, and there's a former Marine instructor who's handing her ever more powerful guns until he gives her an Uzi submachine gun. And you see the video, she goes pop, pop, and you can see the gun recoiling, because it's a very powerful machine gun. And then the video cuts out, because at the third pop, she loses control, pops the guy in the head and kills him. Now, again, to me, the idea that a 9-year-old kid, I've got 4 kids of varying ages, from 21 to 3, the idea that you would take them and let them fire a real-life, real-bullet Uzi machine gun at 9 years old seems utterly absurd to me, but it's legal. So when it comes to changing the laws, I get accused of being a gun grabber, when actually nothing I've ever said involves confiscating any guns. Actually, you want to look at incidents like that and say, that shouldn't be happening in modern America.
That was extremely rare, though, that incident.
But it is legal,
right?
And you can still do that,
right?
And my point is, I would just, simple thing to change the law, say nobody under 18 could handle weapons like that, even at a range.
Well, if the parents are there, though, like then it comes a thing, like, 'cause that is such a rare occurrence.
But is it that rare?
I
mean,
think so.
Over 500 kids in America a year die.
I mean, for a kid to shoot the instructor like that.
Yeah,
Oh, right, of course.
at the
But
gun range, that was extremely rare.
Right, but you have a lot of incidents which are framed as accidents in the home, which to me aren't accidents. If parents leave guns lying around with ammunition in them, and kids pick them up and kill their siblings or their parents, well, that is negligence, and they should be prosecuted. Another change I would make to the law. So, look, I don't want to be just a one subject guy, but appalling tragedy. A lone gunman burst into a elementary school in a little place in Scotland. Andy Murray, the tennis player, happened to be at that school and was there that day and narrowly avoided being killed himself. And 16 5- and 6-year-old kids were shot dead by this guy. And what was interesting to me was the way that Britain reacted to their version of Sandy Hook back in the mid-90s. And both left and right came together in total unanimity. They were totally agreed about what should be done. All assault weapons were banned. All handguns were banned without specific permits and licenses. And it all happened within 18 months. Now, what were the repercussions? Well, first off, there hasn't been a school shooting in Britain since 1996. There have been 100 in America since Sandy Hook, where nothing was done. So you can look to an immediate equivalence. Secondly, gun crime actually ticked up a bit over the next 4 or 5 years. So they said, okay, we don't have draconian enough rules. We're going to make it a 5-year minimum mandatory jail sentence for anybody caught in possession of a handgun or assault weapon. And from that day, gun crime in Britain has dramatically dropped every single year. And we, just put it in context, yesterday with this appalling terrorist attack in Paris, a lot of people were tweeting me, I thought pretty inappropriately actually, but saying, well, there you go, that's what happens when you have a country with gun control, right? But to put it in context, yesterday in America, if you take the average statistical death toll from guns in America, 8 times as many people died in America from guns yesterday as died in Paris that day. And Paris, for them, that is the worst attack involving guns they've ever had in their history. In America, it wouldn't register in the top 10. So you've got to be, I think, self-aware as a country about what happens in countries where these things have happened, and they've reacted in a different way. I'm actually very proud of what Britain did, but I'm also very aware that it was not political. It was never a case of if you're pro-guns, you're conservative, and if you're... So when I came here and got involved after Sandy Hook, and I had a few explosive encounters on air, I found it very odd that it had to be framed as a political debate, because to me it wasn't about politics. It was about how do you stop more kids getting killed.
Right.
And the fact that here we are over 2 years in Sandy Hook and not a single change to the law has been made to try and prevent it happening again, to me is unconscionable.
As much as I dislike the NRA, I do think that their motive, and they're protecting their own interests, but I do think that their motive is they think that they're doing it the right way too. They think that by arming, look, a lot of what they say is absurd to me, but they think that they're protecting kids by doing that. So I don't, even though your motive is that, I don't think that their motive is that they don't give a shit about kids.
I think the NRA membership's motives may be one thing, but I think the leadership led by Wayne LaPierre are pretty unpleasant people whose motivation is to sell guns. And the reason I say that is that every time there's an outrage in America, up goes
gun sales go through the roof.
And he says the same thing. He says if only everyone in that movie theater in Aurora had had a gun, they would have stopped it, right? Now, Michael Bloomberg put it best to me. He said, can you imagine in a movie theater at midnight and it's pitch black and you've got 400 people and somebody starts shooting and 400 people stand up with guns and start shooting? You have a scene out of a John Wayne movie from 60 years ago, and the death toll would be obviously significantly higher because nobody would know who the damn shooter was. So these sort of fanciful, illogical arguments are put out there by a guy who knows that when he says that, a lot of Americans will listen to him and say, he's got a point. Then he'll say, Obama's going to come and grab your guns. He's going to ban AR-15s. And so sales of AR-15 in Aurora and in Connecticut, after the 2 outrages of the Aurora movie theater massacre and Sandy Hook, rocketed by about 50% in the following 3 months. So the response from America to these appalling tragedies was simply to go and buy the gun that was used in massive new numbers.
So you must think Americans are just nuts.
If I thought
you think we're sick,
if
right?
I thought that, I wouldn't live here and I wouldn't work here and I wouldn't feel incredibly grateful that I can do that. I do think on this particular issue, look, we Brits are nuts about many things. Right, I had a funny moment in the summer when I was at Lord's Cricket Ground, which is like the Yankee Stadium of cricket, right? And I'm with the new American ambassador to London, and we're standing with our back to the game. And he's just come in for an hour to have a drink in a hospitality box. So we're sitting there, and he was from Kansas, I think. Very nice guy. And we got into the gun thing. He'd seen some of the debates. I just left CNN and so on. And then eventually I said, he said, Piers, be honest, like you do. You think we're just a bit weird, right? And I said, on guns, I think you're very weird. I said, it's a weird cultural thing which a lot of Europeans in particular find very hard to understand. And then he just brilliantly timed it. He turned us around and said, Piers, when we Americans watch cricket, we think you're pretty weird too.
Cricket is a strange sport.
You're in the press. How do you? I don't think anybody or very few people actually reprinted the photo of the.
What caused the terrorist attack
Post
yesterday?
did today. They showed the photo of the editor holding it up, and I want to know, where is the solidarity in the press? And
I saw a German paper.
Can I ask a follow-up question too? And why is it that the press won't admit that they're just afraid of Islamic violence and radicals? They come out and they make it look like it's a respect factor. Why? Well, we respect it, which is a lie. They don't.
They're scared.
They're scared.
Way more scared than respecting a religion.
Because they print anything about any religion. So I want to know, why is it with this one they're different?
Did you make the point on Twitter? I think you did, that they don't hesitate to run a graphic picture of a policeman being shot in the head, which by definition is incredibly offensive, especially if you're a member of that guy's family, because it's deemed a news image. It's an interesting debate, this. I ran a daily newspaper in Britain for 10 years, and you were constantly faced with these ethical, moral questions about what to publish and what not to publish. Here's where I sit on this. The whole point of freedom of speech and freedom of expression, to me, is not about compelling people to publish things. It's about acknowledging their right to do so. Individual media entities should have the freedom and the ability to make any editorial judgments they choose to make, right? The solidarity argument is slightly different. It would have been incredibly powerful if every newspaper in the world had run the contentious Muhammad cartoon on their front page, but that's not going to happen. And it's not going to happen for this reason, I think, is that mainstream media organizations know that to many Muslims around the world, depicting imagery of Prophet Muhammad or mocking him in any way is deemed an extremely offensive thing. We may not agree with them believing that, but there is a mark of respect to a large cross-section of your readership or your viewership, and you have to acknowledge that, which is why you don't see that kind of thing.
So they saw, to just jump in, because I would agree with you totally if they respected all of the religions that way.
Right.
But depicting priests as pedophiles or having those stories retold is also very offensive. Piss Christ was a very offensive thing. I personally didn't care about it, but they had no problem printing that. So they don't show this level. And you're right. That's a good point about free speech is meant to allow people, not compel them.
Yeah.
But this is really newsworthy because this is the image that got guys murdered.
12 people.
So you tell me one other image that got people murdered that wouldn't be shown if it wasn't tied to Islam. I can't think of anything.
I can give you an analogy. I mean, for example, I'm an Irish Catholic, and this particular French publication regularly mocked the Pope in often quite a grotesque manner. Yeah, I think you have to understand what this magazine was really about to really get to grips with this debate, because they were a satirical, what we would call in Britain, Mickey-taking, balloon puncturing, mocking magazine. They specialised from a left-wing position of mocking anything religious. They were an anti-religious magazine. So they would mock the Jewish faith, the Christian faith, the Muslim faith. They were non-discriminating offenders in that sense. They mocked a lot of right-wing candidates for the political elections in France and so on. So that's where they came from politically. They were anti-religion and anti-the right, really. And so all their mockery came from that. But, we have magazines like that in Britain who at Christmas, we have one called Private Eyes, the most famous satirical magazine in Britain. At Christmas, they ran a very mocking front cover, mocking the Virgin Mary, Jesus Christ, and so on. As a Christian, as a Catholic, I could take grave offence at that, or I could shrug my shoulders and say, what they're really doing is having a bit of fun. Where, and this is the crucial point of your question, where does having a bit of fun, lampooning people, either religious or political people, Where does it cross the line into being a grotesque offence, being possibly racist or whatever a phrase you want to call it? And the argument and the answer is complicated. I don't think people really know. And I think that you're right to say if you mocked Jesus Christ on the front page of a satirical magazine, it's unlikely that people in balaclavas would burst into the offices of that magazine and gun everybody down.
Of course not. Of course they would. Of course they would.
So is it one rule for the treatment of Muslim religious iconic images from people like Prophet Muhammad and one rule for everybody else?
Sure.
And if so, do we as a global society, do we think that is a reasonable situation when, you have this kind of outrage we saw yesterday?
If the press if the press just said that, I'd be okay with it. Like if they came out and said, look, we're afraid of Islamic radical violence. It sounds like a silly point, but I would respect the honesty of them saying this is why we don't do it.
I think I had an interesting debate last night. I write an editor-at-large for DailyMail.com now in America, which is it's the biggest read English-speaking newspaper website in the world. So huge clout. They have 70-odd million people a month come in and read this, right? And we had a debate dinner last night with the publisher and various other people about what their position was. And their position is very similar to everybody else in Britain and most media outlets I've seen in America over any mainstream nature, which is you've got various concerns. One is you don't want to be deliberately inflammatory and insensitive to billion or so people who would see it that way potentially. Secondly, you have security issues for your staff and yourselves and the buildings you're in and so on, which are clear and obvious from what we saw in Paris. To pretend that is not a concern is ridiculous. And, I'd ask you a question. Would you guys tell a joke about Prophet Muhammad on your show?
Yes, and we have. Yeah, we've talked about it, and I've mocked Islam in my act, radical Islam.
Right. But are you mocking extremists or are you mocking the Prophet himself?
Mocking extremists, and
it's a different thing.
Yes, but I admit there was one thing I did in my act where it was a visual about, and I was saying Allahu Akbar, and I was doing it was tied with it was a long bit, but I cut the part because I was making the masturbation sign and saying that, which fit into the bit. And if you spoke English and heard the bit, you got it. But I thought to myself, if you just saw that part and me doing that and you don't understand the bit or you don't speak English, it looks like I'm just doing that and making the jerk-off sign.
Right. Yeah.
So I actually cut that out. And I've said this on the air before. The reason I did it is because they're fucking violent people who will respond violently to that. I didn't pretend it was for respect.
You were a little scared.
Yeah, it wasn't like I was like, oh my God. But I knew that could be a major problem.
You were concerned about retribution.
Violent retribution from Islamic extreme. So yeah, but I said that was what it was.
Yeah. I mean, I heard a very good point this morning on CNN, actually. And it was from their international affairs guy. And I think he's a Muslim himself. And he said, here's the bottom line with this. There is no amount of offence that a Muslim can take against a cartoon lampooning extremist Islamists or Prophet Muhammad over, which comes even close to the offence caused by murdering 12 people in cold blood in a cartoon magazine office.
Right.
And that to me is the bottom line, is that we can debate the semantics of whether the Daily News or the Post should have done the cartoon or whatever, but in the end nothing justifies what happened yesterday. I don't give a damn how offended people are. You don't take out a Kalashnikov and kill innocent people who are just doing cartoons.
Going with that, did you see the cartoon yesterday where it says they drew first?
Right, it was a brilliant cartoon.
That was the most brilliant one I saw yesterday.
In an interesting way.
They drew DREW first, and they have the guy over the dead body.
It was powerful, and the world's cartoonists have been brilliant in the last 24 hours, and it comes back to the old saying, the pen is mightier than the sword. In a way, the global mockery that's now spilling out from cartoonists to these killers, in the end, will make them look ridiculous, which is probably where you want to put them, rather than treating them as a serious military entity.
And now so many more people are seeing the image that these guys were pissed off about.
Yeah.
Right. And what's interesting, again, we're talking about mainstream media, okay? So none of the mainstream media in America that I've seen, newspapers or television outlets, have carried these cartoons. But you now have a whole torrent of online media entities, from BuzzFeed to Huffington Post to, Gawker to whatever it may be, many of whom have been running all the cartoon covers. So the internet and social media have got these pumping out all around the world.
Making the newspapers look even more irrelevant.
Well, or actually saying that actually, when you have an audience, say, of CNN, of millions of people, and you have a global brand, and you air in the Middle East, you have to be slightly more careful than if you're Gawker, who doesn't have those concerns and sensitivities, and doesn't have millions of people from the Middle East looking at your site.
Right.
So there are, again, it comes back to my first point. Freedom of speech is not about compelling people to do things. It's about defending their right to do them.
I
as long
agree.
as they don't break established laws. And I think you have to defend that right absolutely clearly. Now, the argument about whether they should have done it is about solidarity. And there have been papers. There's a paper in Berlin that's just done a front and back cover this morning of about 30 different cartoon covers. And it's brilliant and incredibly brave journalism. But what happens if in a week they get firebombed? And so it goes on. Really, what you've got to do is you've got to get to the root of the problem of the people doing this, and you've got to stop them.
Good luck.
That's an incredibly
Good luck.
difficult issue.
I'm not saying that they should print it either. And I honestly don't know if I would. I'm not sitting there being phony brave going, print it. The thing is, it is a news, we're so disgusted with the press because Steve Croft's text messages are newsworthy. Like, that's the garbage that the mainstream
But they have
press.
no problem printing.
No problem.
Because they know that's pretty safe.
But this guy holding up that cover, that is, and I understand there's respect for Islam, but that is an image that probably got him killed, was him holding that up and just being defiant. And they choose not to print that. And it's like, they skirt the issue.
And the reasoning is lies, what you're saying.
Yeah, and that's what's bothersome. Again, man, I'm not phony, but I'm not walking around with that on a t-shirt. But I admit why. They won't admit why. And they'll still act like, well, no, it's just simply out of respect. And that's just a lie.
It's been very interesting to me to watch this debate in the last few hours today. I've heard it everywhere, everyone in media having the same debate. But then you think back a few weeks to Sony and the interview and all that, and the very people who have been sort of wriggling out of, we shouldn't have published these cartoons, were the very first to attack Sony for not airing the interview, which offended the North Korean regime.
Yeah.
Now, to me, there is a difference between, traditionally mainstream media have never done anything that might offend billions of Muslims by lampooning Prophet Muhammad. It's been an unspoken, established thing that people just don't do that in mainstream media, right?
Fear.
It's fear, but also a mark of respect as well, because they're aware that for whatever reason, many Muslims have a far more ferocious sense of offence about it than I guess me as a Catholic does about lampooning the Pope, for example.
And they're afraid of the reaction, which is okay.
Right.
But it's fear. It's all
about fear.
Not just physical fear either. It might be fear of being rejected by the audience, of having, your Muslim viewership or your readership turning off and saying we're not going to...
Okay.
It's a commercial instinct as well, kicks in. So there are lots of reasons why it can happen. But, I looked at what Sony did. I wrote a column attacking Sony for pulling the interview when they did. I thought it was rank cowardice and very un-American. Now, they eventually did it and they sort of salvaged, I guess, a modicum of respect for doing that. But I don't think you can really equate the two, and this is why. And that is people are trying to. And they're saying, how can you attack Sony, and then how can you not say that the paper should have done this? It's the same. It's not, because in Sony's case, they were lampooning the head of a horrific regime, guilty of disgusting human rights abuses and atrocities.
Sure.
And actually, look at the irony. Nobody in North Korea would ever have seen the interview because they're not allowed to. So here, it's very different. If you're running the New York Times or the New York Daily News or whatever, you're going to have a lot of your Muslim readers will see it. And that's the difference. And it's religious and not linked to a tyrannical regime.
I actually took just the opposite. I backed Sony because I felt that they really believed they were being threatened by violence, and they're an entertainment company. And they don't, as much as I wanted them to run the interview, and I was disappointed for them when the movie chains pulled out, for whatever reason, they basically got threatened with 9/11 type violence, which, again, probably never would have happened. But they were like, and deep down they're going, we don't want the litigation, we're afraid. Fuck it.
Right,
but they were honest.
Right, but at what point? I mean, America, like Britain, and we've often done it together, go hand in hand, march around the world defending freedom and democracy militarily and politically and so on. At what point does that start to grate if your big entertainment companies and whatever, your big media outlets, roll over at the first sign of any pressure from outside sources. I mean, it comes a point when you've got to say collectively. What I didn't like about the Sony thing was the way the rest of Hollywood just like a bunch of ostriches stuck their heads in the sand and said, "This is not our problem, guys."
Well, so how can you call Sony
why,
cowards?
though? Because they were worried about their emails.
Well, I thought Sony were cowardly, but I also thought the others were almost more cowardly because it could have been them next.
But Sony was ready to run the interview until the theater chain started dropping it. They said
that's not an excuse.
No,
I didn't buy that.
They said
Did you buy that? They could have bought.
I did, because when a few of the theater chains.
Yeah, but Sony has its own theatres. It can run them in. They could have said, you know what, the mainstream theatre chains are not going to do it, so we have chosen 2 in every major city in America, which we have bought for the night, and we're going to air it to defy this kind of oppressive
And once
censorship.
if there was a violent, let's just say for the sake of argument, there's one violent thing. The litigation, and I keep saying that and people get annoyed, but that's what they were scared of. They were scared of lawsuits.
But that's the other problem with America. This comes back to, I love about 80% of America, probably marginally more than the percentage I like about my own country, so it's not personal. But the threat of litigation and the constant paranoia and fear about litigation in America.
I agree.
And the crippling bureaucracy. I mean, I did a TV show yesterday. I won't say what it was. It was a 5-minute hit on a daytime show. The sheer level of paperwork and bureaucracy and legalese and manpower to try and enable me to appear on a 5-minute segment on a daytime TV show is absolutely bizarre in this country.
What were some of the things they were worried about?
No, it's not that. It's more just protecting themselves legally from
That's what I mean.
From any event.
Say.
Right, from any event. No, it wasn't even that, actually. It's more to do with my right to be here, my visa, my this. But I've been out here 10 years. There's no issue there, really. But it just struck me that everyone now in America who works on any sort of corporate level like that, they have to go through a checklist of. I bought a car in LA about 3 years ago. To buy a car in Britain takes about 10 minutes and 3 forms, right? To buy a car in America took a stack of forms like this. I had to have 2 managers involved, 3 lawyers, and by the end of it, I felt physically drained. I was signing enough stuff to basically knock out the Amazon rainforest.
I see Pierre's point on the Sony thing a little bit, because at that point they should at least released it digitally. There was a point.
There was no reason Sony couldn't have just taken a bunch of theaters and put it on them.
Or at the very least, like, all right, we're worried about what could happen in these theaters, but, screw these people. We're going to at least make it available to download immediately.
Everyone says that, and I understand that, but it's like nobody wants to pay fucking legal bills. And the president comes out. I love Obama.
But what can happen if someone downloads it digitally?
No, I think that a lot of people were worried about their servers. I think that maybe a lot of the people were hesitant to take it at first because they're worried about their own servers being attacked.
Right.
And Obama comes out the day after it happens and says they should have released it. And I think that probably gave Sony a little bit of courage, too. Once the president comes out.
Yeah.
But where was he the day before?
Yeah, I agree.
He says, well, why didn't Sony call me?
It came out when it was a bit safe to come out.
When's the last time the commander-in-chief needed Sony to call him about a possible threat?
It was the ultimate example of Monday morning quarterbacking, right?
Mm-hmm. And
it really was.
The FBI 100% believes it was North Korea, and the White House believed it was North Korea.
Well, also the FBI have made it clear that they traced all the IP and addresses and everything to servers that were exclusively used by North Koreans. So, I'm sure they had probably some disaffected Sony employees who they'd probably paid money to or whatever. Who knows? We don't really know yet. But there's no doubt there was a North Korean element because the FBI said the IP addresses were all North Korean exclusive usage. So I think that you have to assume they were. And they would be because they were angry about their leader being mocked,
All right, what's your thoughts on the terrorist attacks in general as we move forward? Are you getting more and more worried that these are going to be more and more impressive?
Yeah, I live in America and Britain, which are 2 major targets for exactly this kind of atrocity.
And how do we handle it? How are we going to move forward and figure this out? Exactly.
My own belief is that really this has got to be dealt with within the Muslim community, primarily. I think you've got to go to Egypt and Pakistan and particularly Saudi Arabia, and the leaders there have got to take charge here. And you've got to have, this policeman on the front page of all the papers today being executed.
Begging for his life for 2 seconds.
Well, he's a Muslim,
turned
out today. So you have a Muslim murdering a Muslim. So I want to hear the Muslims around the world rising up against this appalling attack on one of their own. Never mind anything else. This is a Muslim police officer doing his job, protecting people in Paris who's been executed. And when I saw that revelation today, I was like, okay, well, this is something that you and I, we can bang on about this from the outside. We can tell the Muslim world what we think of them and so on until the cows come home. It doesn't matter. Probably unfortunate choice of metaphor, but you know what I mean. But until the leaders of these countries, where these terrorists are being fermented and trained and prepared for this kind of a battle, until they deal with it properly and loudly and come out publicly, repeatedly, and say this is what we're going to do, I don't think much will change. I don't think there's much we can do about it.
Well, what is it going to take for them to, quote, rise up and go, all right, we really have to get involved here?
I think other countries like us, in Britain and America, we can apply a lot of pressure, but in the end the pressure's got to come from the people.
Oh, yeah, I understand.
You've got to have enough decent Muslims, of which 98% are, and that's why I hate all this Islamophobia that spews out when this kind of thing happens. I don't see it happening when some Christian nutcase in America goes into a school or whatever and kills everyone. You don't immediately frame it as this guy's a Christian killer.
Although technically the Christian doesn't say I'm doing this for Christ. There is a difference in the people who, hold on, the people who are doing those shootings, they're the ones tying themselves with Islam, not the public.
No,
they're saying this is why we're doing it.
It's a good point. It's a good point. But this is a hideously complex issue. You're dealing, in the old days, you'd have a war, and it would be a country against a country.
You said that earlier. You knew who your enemy was.
Right. You knew how to fight it, and that was the way it was done. Now you're fighting a kind of amorphous entity which has tentacles all around the world. These people claimed apparently to have an affiliation to Al-Qaeda in Yemen. That may or may not be true, but even if they do, are they really affiliated with them, or are they just a bunch of nutcases living in Paris who are excited by the prospect of being global terror stars, right? And want to be associated with what they see as a movement against the West.
Well, a lot of loners are attracted to this whole thing, which is scary, too.
Yeah.
Very scared. That whole lone wolf thing that the news has to repeat over and over again.
But you can't, it's... Whenever I think about these things, I always think, what would Winston Churchill do? Because he was our great man in Britain who obviously stood up to Hitler and stuff. And the truth is, he would go after these people, and he would go after the people that are harbouring these people, and he would say, we have got to get to the root of this evil. And the root of the evil is not Muslim people. It is depraved and terror-excited people who are, in my view, disgracefully misrepresenting the Quran, the Prophet Muhammad's sayings. They're misrepresenting all of it for terror gains, which are partly because they want power, partly because they want the money that comes from terror and power. We know that ISIS, for example, funds itself from many European governments rolling over and paying them tens of millions of dollars for the release of people they're going to behead, right? It's a straightforward commercial, cynical exercise to get money and power, and they do it through terror. That's what this is about today. It's not really about religion. It's more about using religion as an excuse to whip up support from disenfranchised, disaffected young Muslims in particular, who probably are feeling a bit lost in the world and get drawn to this kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. But a lot of the young Muslims who do it, and maybe the people at the helm are financially driven or power driven, but anyone who is willing to put on a suicide vest, a lot of people are doing this for strictly religious reasons because they're willing to commit suicide, or they're willing to do things that most people would not be willing to do for money. I don't think these guys did this for any financial gain. As much as they are, I think they're savage people.
I'm not talking about the operatives who do the actual atrocities. The people that run, though, the Islamic State, ISIS, I think they are more cunning and they are more businesslike.
Yeah, the guys,
You have to have a lot of money to be a serious player in the terror game.
Right.
And they're getting it by being utterly brutal, by taking what Al-Qaeda did and taking it to whole new depths of depravity. So you're having, just American journalists beheaded and videos put out and so on. And they're doing it, they're taunting everybody because they know that a lot of people will cave. At every degree up the ladder of media and politics, people will cave through fear.
Who's caved and who's given back? Who's given money for? I didn't know any of the hostages have been released. Actually,
well, quite a few in Europe. I think the French have paid. I think the Italians have paid. I don't want to say these as facts, but if you check, there's a large number of hostages have been released in the last 2 years, where a lot of European governments, in particular, have paid tens of millions of dollars for the release of their citizens. And Britain hasn't done it. They have a policy of not doing it. America has a policy of not doing it. And I think they're absolutely right to not do it, because all you're really doing is continuing to fund the kind of terror you see here. Where did these guys get their Kalashnikovs from, their AK-47s or whatever they use? They got them from the kind of money that ISIS is raking in from holding European governments to ransom on the beheadings. So eventually, as I say, what would Churchill do? He'd say, I'm not caving into these people. And by the way, I'm saying that because I'm British, but if you look back to great heroes in American...
Teddy Roosevelt?
Teddy Roosevelt, a great example, right? Harry Truman, right?
Harry?
Right.
Harry?
What would they do?
Ben Franklin.
Right.
Well, he liked the French wars.
Yeah, but I've written about Obama a few times. It worries me that his instinct on this tends to be too defensive. It does.
Yes. Absolutely.
Bush worried me the other way. I think he was too aggressive. But Obama seems to me, his first reaction is not overtly American to me. It's often very defensive, and I think that he has taken his eye off the ball in terms of allowing the Islamic State to fester, to grow, to gain support, and he should have been much tougher earlier on. It's not easy, because you're going to get people criticizing you whatever you do. But
well, they kill him for the drone strikes. I mean, they get so mad at Obama. It seems like every tack you try to take, and I don't know what the right answer is, but you talk about Churchill would have said, go to the root. But when they try to go to the root, or if they try to infiltrate a mosque and get information, everything you do, people step in and say, whoa, you're violating people's privacy. So how do you do that? How do you get to the root? How do you...
You know what? You have to understand that being a proper leader is not about winning a popularity contest. It's not about what the papers say about you. It's not, with respect, what you guys say about Obama. None of that should matter to him. You've got to take a long-term strategic view about what is in the national interest of America and what is in the national interest, in the global interest of how you deal with this. And that's why I come back to, you've got to get the leaders in Egypt and Pakistan and Saudi Arabia and these countries, the Yemen, Syria, all these come together. Israel-Palestine still raging away is an appalling sore that drives the kind of support that ISIS are desperate to have. Mm-hmm. So you've got to deal with it in a global context. But to do it, you've got to have the Muslim leaders agree
on board
that this kind of appalling atrocity is unacceptable.
Yeah, I didn't know the cop was Muslim. That's very, very interesting. What I love about Piers, he gets people calling.
Oh yeah,
you get people talking. That's what I miss on CNN. Like I said, I didn't agree with everything you said, but it was you got people just thinking and talking about shit. This guy wants to know: does Piers blame all Muslims for what happened in Paris? You said no.
Well,
you said no.
Nobody does.
The complete opposite. For the same reason, I don't blame any religion for any attack that's done in the name of that religion, because of course 98% of these religions are decent law-abiding citizens. We know that statistically, right?
There's 2.5 billion Muslims in the world, I believe.
Right.
I think
how
that's
many of them
about
have killed people? Right? So let's be realistic about this. It's no different to saying that all Americans are responsible for school shootings. Right? It's a tiny percentage of your population that goes crackers and does stupid things with guns, right? Unfortunately, these get amplified around the world into creating an atmosphere that America's, everyone's out there shooting people all the time, which is not actually true. I have issues about gun culture, we discussed it earlier, but it's not true that all Americans go around shooting people. Right? It's not true that all Muslims go around doing this kind of thing. A tiny proportion of them do. What concerns me is that the kind of terrorism we saw yesterday is becoming ever more prevalent, that the beheadings are continuing, that the money is still being paid to these people, making them more powerful, they're gaining more power, they're gaining more followers, and you're facing a kind of almost a battle for civilization.
Do you notice one thing, though, with all of the beheadings? There really is just one group of people doing all the beheadings.
Right.
It is all being done under the banner of one religion. And I'm not saying it's not, but it's like people have to recognize that. It's not, just a weird coincidence. Like, all of these attacks like this are being done by this. It's like when the Mexican cartels were beheading people, and they may still be doing it. Nobody seemed to need to go out of their way to go, this isn't all Mexicans. Like, we understood that.
But they will argue, right? Let's play devil's advocate here. Let's put yourself into the heads of Islamic State leaders, right? The reason they get support is they're saying these drone strikes that the Americans and the British and others are bombarding around the world, right? Killing our women, killing our children. You saw that a terrible attack on a school in Pakistan by the Taliban. Taliban with 100 kids or more killed, right? But their argument was, you're killing our children.
They say that, but the Taliban kills Muslims. You know what I mean? So like you said, Muslims kill Muslims. They're the ones who are bombing mosques.
Right,
it wasn't
but
Americans.
They frame it in the way that they're in a war. They're in a war, right? We don't see it that way. We see them purely as a horrific terror group, but they frame it in the context of we are at war and the enemy is America and Britain and France or whatever, and they are killing our women and children. And that is indisputably happening. I mean, these drone attacks are much more precise than their predecessors in terms of targeting things, but there are lots of innocent women and children in Islamic areas around the world who are getting slaughtered from drone attacks. You can't pretend it's not happening.
Right. So we stop that. It'll all...
Well, I think
America,
America,
look,
America
play nice.
No, because that gives you're right. That's what they say.
Right.
But by believing that almost gives a purity to their motives. Going, well, they really wouldn't be doing this if we weren't bringing it on ourselves.
Right.
And like you have the Taliban, what they shoot that 14-year-old girl because she was Let's stop pretending that if we stop doing this stuff, they would cut all that out. It's just not realistic.
I agree with that, but I think, and it's a very complicated thing.
Adam in Jersey, don't compare radical. Well, you want to put the headphones? You don't have to put them on your head because it looks like
he looks terrific.
I don't want him messing up his hair. It looks like he's going to do some more TV. Adam in Jersey, you got Piers Morgan. Go ahead.
Hey, Opie, Jimmy, love you guys, and what's going on, Piers?
I
find it outrageous that you can even discuss Christian attacks in America and asking why the American public hasn't been so outraged. When you look at Christianity and the extremist wing of it in the United States, it has nothing, it conducts nothing more than a bunch of lunatics outside of funerals with signs, whether it's the Westboro Baptist Church or other fringe groups. You don't see extreme attacks in the sense of whether chopping people's heads off.
No, I think you misunderstood. Let me clarify what I said. I didn't actually say what I think you think I said. What I was saying is that when there's an outrage like a mass shooting in America, and it turns out that the perpetrator, say, was a Christian, right, brought up a Christian, it's never framed as a Christian attack, right? And the reason, as we just discussed, may well be that he probably didn't shout "God is great" before he did what he did, but he still might be a Christian. And I just think you have to be very wary. I was responding to, do I think all Muslims do this kind of thing? No, and I think it's grotesquely unfair to decent Muslims around the world, many of whom live in America and do a great job contributing to American society, that we go out after these appalling terror attacks and say, you're all the same. They're not. Nor are all Christians in America the same, or in my country. So you've got to be very careful about generalizing about religions and groups, because the moment that happens, you go down to a different level.
Piers, if we called out every Muslim who did a crime and said, oh, this is a terrorist attack because of their faith, it would be different. But in these cases, everything that we're hearing on the television or through the media is people doing it for the sake of their faith. Whether it's chopping off the heads of journalists in the Middle East, or whether it is going after the people who published the cartoon against Muhammad. These are blatant actions for their faith or in the name of Allah. So when you look at being a Christian is a dime a dozen. There's Christians all over this country. It's 65% Christian. So if we pointed out every crime conducted by a Christian, that's not relative to whether it was for Christianity.
But when you watch George Bush's foreign policy, though, he didn't hesitate about framing it sometimes in a religious manner. He didn't.
That's up for that's up for debate. I don't.
Well, I don't think it's up for debate. He would speak openly about it, and at some stage you thought he was waging almost a Christian war against the infidels. So you got to think.
I never felt that from Bush.
I did a bit, and I felt. Yeah, but I think the danger. Right, but the danger I think is when. It's when you don't try and understand what the enemy is doing or why they're doing it. I think you're never going to be able to resolve things.
Well, we know why they're doing it. We know why they're doing it.
Why do you think they're doing it?
They haven't evolved as other faiths have. Now, don't get me wrong. I am a Christian man, but I'm not saying that if you read my book, the Bible, from the Old Testament to the New Testament, you're not going to find things that are reprehensible or things that may be wrong to certain people. But as Christians, we have evolved over time. Now, there were some rocky points historically where Christians were murdering other people, but we've evolved from that. So have the Jews. In the most cases, there are some extremists. But when you look at Islam, they have neglected the idea of evolving as a people.
Well, they are newer.
So when they are newer, but they're not.
Yeah, but again, you see, let me stop you. I think you're again.
Piers Morgan. This isn't.
Right, but you're generalizing again. You're talking about these people, these Muslims, as if somehow.
I'm talking about these extremists. Absolutely.
Right, but I think you always have to say the word extremist, of which every religion has extremists. There are Jewish extremists, there are Christian extremists, there are Muslim extremists, many of whom, in all these religions, commit appalling atrocities.
Why the need to mention that even? And I'm not even saying for Piers Morgan. Like, when the Catholic pedophilia scandal, which was dwarfing anyone else's pedophilia scandal, nobody felt the need to come out and say, well, there are molesting imams and there are molesting rabbis. We kept it where it was. For some reason in the Catholic Church, it ran rampant and it was handled abominably. And no one felt the need, because there wasn't a threat of violent retribution, to come out and put the little asterisk and say, well, hey guys, we know that we don't need to say that. We understand there's extremists everywhere.
All right, Adam, thank you.
Thank you for the call, buddy, because Piers has to wrap up and go.
We're being told Piers got to go. That sucks.
I've got a bit more time, I think.
Oh, okay. They were saying our thing.
Okay.
I do want to ask Piers about a knee-jerk reaction to thinking Islam is being offended. Bill Maher had a great guest on. They were talking about Islamic radicals. And Ben Affleck was on. And to me, he meant well, but it was just a perfect example of a guy with a knee-jerk reaction and wanting to say all the things like all Muslims aren't bad when they really weren't saying all Muslims. Did you see the interview or no?
I did see it.
And I thought Ben Affleck really made an ass out of himself with people who were being extremely logical.
You see, I didn't see it that way. I actually thought that Bill Maher went too far in what he was saying, because the moment you drift into generalizations, the moment you start framing a massive faith like Muslim faith in a way that even suggests that they're all basically a bit wrong, aren't they? You are falling into a very dangerous trap. I think Ben Affleck was reacting to what he felt was Bill Maher basically going too far in generalizing. And I get that, because I think it's a really dangerous trap. With any group of terrorists anywhere in the world, do not try and hunker in 2.5 billion people to the actions of these killers yesterday.
But do you think that I don't know if Bill did that? I forget the guest name, but he broke down the Muslims from like extremists and and jihadis and all of these. He broke it down kind of percentage wise.
Well, he was talking about. Let me throw a difficult question at you, right? Which is what he was basically saying is that when you go to these Muslim countries, they have cultural laws which we find offensive in the West, right? Women have to wear veils, there are stonings in some of these countries, elements of barbarism everywhere, and so on and so on. And he was saying they're barbaric people, right? And yet I could throw that back at America and say that the senseless gun slaughter that we discussed earlier here is equally incomprehensible to people outside your country. You would rightly rise up against me and say there's no comparison between stonings in Saudi Arabia and gun slaughter here. But I would say that to other people who are not Americans, they would draw a parallel and say, you've got cultural flaws, we have cultural flaws, and actually there's no harm in highlighting them, but there's also, you've got to be sensitive to the fact that not everybody living in America agrees with the gun culture. Not everyone in Saudi Arabia agrees with stonings or veilings and so on. So you've got to be careful about generalization. And I felt Ben Affleck was reacting to what he felt was a too generalized view of the Muslim world that was very negative.
I think Bill was more criticizing liberals who don't criticize those behaviors in Islam. I didn't take it like that. I thought he was saying that they don't criticize this horrible treatment of homosexuals or the horrible treatment of women in a really large percentage of the Muslim faith. I think that was where it basically came from. And I think Ben, as a liberal, probably got offended, well, we're not doing anything wrong. That's where I thought he came from, a kind of
You know what I thought overall watching it? It was powerful television and constructive debate. Right. I like it when people show passion about this, because it's the only way you're ever going to tackle it is if we really get to the root of what is going on here. And I think you've got to look at what happened in Paris yesterday and say, how do we try and stop this recurring? And it's got to be a global enterprise involving a lot of Muslim countries and Muslim leaders. It's the only way it's going to work, because they're the people who have countries where this is being fermented and trained.
Right.
Iraq is saying that you absolutely have to. His people are saying
live in a couple minutes for another interview.
He's going live to another interview. So
here?
Yeah, where? What show?
We got another 10 minutes, I think. We're all right.
Entertainment Weekly.
Those, they don't matter.
30 people.
10 minutes.
I know so much.
Man, I hope we handle the gun control thing, because as soon as Piers leaves, people are going to be like, "Yeah, you're too soft on him."
But it's like Anthony was the guy who has much more knowledge about that than I do. This is to me much more important.
I like hearing other angles on things. You want to argue with one guy just so when you leave, people don't say we were soft on this? Okay, thank you.
Anthony, you're on.
Chris, you're going to represent a lot of people today. Go ahead, Chris, because many people want to talk to Piers about guns. Chris in Colorado, go ahead.
Opie, Jimmy, nice to hear your show this morning. I cannot believe you have this fucking turncoat on to start with. Piers,
why? He's a good guest.
Yeah, she's great. Hey, Piers, didn't you get the hint from your show's ratings? No one gives a fuck about you or your thoughts on our second opinion. Why don't you take your globalist, shill, pedophile, loving fucking ass back to your own country and face your own phone hacking charges? You fucking scumbag.
So your phone.
Can I say how
hold on, your phone cut out. Could you repeat that?
Can I say how heartwarming it is to hear from such diehard fans so early in the morning? And I'd like to wish you a very happy New Year.
I think people do care because the phones are lit with people that don't agree with Piers or want to ask more questions about some of these topics. That's what I miss on CNN.
And by the way, let me just point out.
They've gone soft after
let me point out to the last caller, who I thank very much for his kind thoughts and assessment of my character, that I am here merely exercising my First Amendment rights as a U.S. resident to discuss matters like guns. And in fact, there was an attempt to deport me on a White House petition signed by 150,000 Americans, which failed because President Obama ruled that I'm protected under the Constitution under my First Amendment rights.
Right.
So you can abuse me as much as you like, and this gentleman just did, and he can want me to go back to Britain, which I do from time to time. But the reality remains, I'm simply expressing an opinion. Nobody has to agree with it. Many people don't. But I have to tell you, many people also agree with me about guns in America. Many Americans agree with me. It's a debate that has to happen.
We picked the wrong phone call. I was hoping someone would have
not the best.
some points on why.
I quite enjoyed that phone call. I like a guy getting. I just feel like that guy sat down now with his coffee and he's firing his gun on his range and he's thinking, I showed that limey son of a bitch exactly where to go, and he's feeling happy about life.
I would rather have.
I'd like to bring a spray of happiness into people's lives.
I would rather someone argue for
Well, find me. Is there another one who's like?
Well, they are getting mad. Piers says he doesn't have to.
We're okay.
10 minutes later, right?
We're fine, Roland. Piers says he's fine. He's fine.
I'm in no hurry. Tell him I'll stay a bit later with them.
Piers says he's fine. He's fine. I don't care. Piers is the guy.
What, they have nothing to do with Piers isn't there?
Piers says he's fine.
Tell him to figure it out.
Yeah.
Tell him we'll be there in 5 minutes.
If Piers has a guest that doesn't show up, he has other things he could do with his show.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Because I want to do this gun thing properly.
Piers is tired of polite interviews.
Let's try this again. Mike in Florida. Mike.
Hey, boys. How you doing? Good morning, Piers.
I mean,
Hi, Mike.
We have no problem with you cursing out Piers Morgan, but maybe hit him with some facts.
Yeah, pedophile loving might be a bit much, sir.
Yeah.
I promise I will be a little bit more civil than that.
Okay, thank you.
I don't mind that last call. That was fun to listen to as well.
Yeah.
But hit him with something.
I definitely do not agree with Piers Morgan and your stance on guns. I'm definitely short of Anthony Cumia and his views. What I just always find kind of confounding on Pierce's arguments is I really never hear him decry all of the inner city shootings and all the gang members who have guns. It's always about these kind of anecdotal, did you see the woman in Walmart who was mishandling her gun? Did you hear about the school shooting? There's never just the epidemic amount of gun shooting with illegal guns that you're really speaking about, and that always kind of rubs me the wrong way.
I mean, let me take you up on that. I have regularly tweeted about particularly the issues in Chicago with young black gangs in particular, black-on-black crime. I'd never make any pretense about that. I did that many times on my show, and I find that equally senseless.
One of the few that went after that, by the way.
Yeah.
Most of the mainstream media just does blow that off.
I did a lot of stuff on it,
Yes,
and I feel it is as an important part of the gun debate as anything else. But my real issue is about the culture which makes a nuclear scientist think it's a good idea to take a loaded handgun in a bag into Walmart and let her 2-year-old son pull it out and use it. That, to me, is something that shouldn't be happening. And there's nobody out there who supports gun rights that can explain to me why that's a good idea.
Well, can you say, though, that it could be something like there even brilliant people make dumb moves? Like the female astronaut who put on a diaper and drove 3 states over because she wanted to see her ex-boyfriend. Like, she's obviously a genius, but just an idiot in her personal life.
let me ask. It's Mike, right? The caller?
Yeah. Oh, he's still here.
Let me ask you, Mike. You're pro-gun, right?
To an extent, yeah. But
Okay.
I fall short where I think the gun show loophole should be closed.
Right.
Certainly stronger background checks and things of that nature.
Right, you see, but that's a very significant thing that you just said, because that's really what I want. I just want it to be safer. I live in America. I have a young daughter that lives with me. I have my 3 sons who are all at college and stuff, who come to me a lot as well. And as a parent, I want to protect them, as I'm sure you do and everybody else does. And it's about making it safer. The things you've just said are things that I've campaigned over. I didn't campaign to confiscate guns. I didn't campaign to take anybody's guns. The only things I campaigned for were a limit on the capacity of magazines, at a maximum of 10. To me, there's no hunter in the whole of America who needs, a magazine of more than 10 bullets to shoot a deer, for example.
But it just makes it more fun to shoot the deer that way.
Yeah. Of course, but
Some would argue.
But if you need more than 10 bullets to shoot a deer, you shouldn't be hunting. You're a complete half-wit. So I think that many military-style assault weapons, to me. I mean, look, here's the example I always give. I cannot buy my favourite chocolate egg in America. It's called Kinder Surprise chocolate eggs, because they have little toys inside them, which are deemed a health hazard and may choke me to death, right? I can't buy 6 packets of Sudafed because it's illegal in America, because people think you're going to be building a Breaking Bad meth lab, right? I can't buy most of the French cheeses that I love eating, as you can see by the size of me. I can't buy most French cheeses because of the bacterial threat to me in America. But I can go to Walmart and there'll be a massive, great wall of assault rifles. And I just say, think about that, America. Think about why you're banning me from having a chocolate egg, which has a little toy in it. Why are you banning me from eating cheese? But you're quite happy I go and take an AR-15 off the wall and do what I like with it.
Wait, there's cheese that could kill you?
Yeah, bacterial threat. Well, it's French. I mean...
But the French have no problem eating this cheese.
No, I go to France with my wife's half French, and we guzzle French cheese all the time.
And do those people die in France?
Nobody dies from cheese in France. It's a complete myth. But you do. A lot of people do. But here's my point: is that I think there's just so many ridiculous hypocrisies. If all that Americans did was accept that they were going to be regulated with guns in the same way they are with cars, it would be a massively safer country. So you are a very regulated nation. You love to talk about how free it is, but for me, coming to America, you are crippled by bureaucracy, crippled by lawyers, incredibly highly regulated, and you suffer all sorts of laws which prohibit you doing all sorts of things. The only thing you don't want to accept is any sensible regulation on gun safety. I simply say, why? Why can't you just allow the same regulation methodology, if you like, to guns that you do for cars?
Or release the other ones.
It is regional, though. I mean, it's much more regional, where in New York City, in Chicago, it is incredibly more difficult to get a gun. In Florida, I registered, I did the background check, 3 days later I had a handgun.
Right.
But if you look at the statistics, I'm far more likely to be shot by an illegal gun in the places where it is much more difficult.
Well, I don't understand. I don't understand why all gun laws in America are not federal. I mean, to me, again, as an outsider, utterly baffling that 70% of all the illegal guns found in New York came from Virginia.
Yeah, state-to-state gun laws are ridiculous.
The same in Chicago. Where do the gangbangers get their guns? They don't get them from Chicago gun stores because there aren't many. They get them from, Gary or somewhere like that. So it's something that has to be dealt with, to me, on a federal level. But you start saying that in America and people jump up and down about states' rights.
They would argue if you put any regulations in place, even a little one, that's all right. Now they're going to go for more regulations, and it never stops. That's what some of the gun people are really paranoid and worried about.
In the 70s, it was pretty common for Americans to drink drive. A lot of people used to drive after having a few drinks.
We all tell the stories. And they would just let you go.
Right.
They didn't arrest you.
Right. And that was our parents' generation didn't get any issue with that. And so as a result, a lot of people were slaughtered by drink driving in America. And then a young girl was killed in particularly awful circumstances. And Mothers Against Drunk Driving, MAD, they were called, rose up in the 70s. And they were a movement driven by mothers. And as a result of that, they changed a lot of the laws relating to drunk driving. And I think it's been like a 93% fall, something like that, in the number of people killed by drunk drivers in America since then. So where you bring in sensible safety regulations, you see a massive drop-off in death. Let me leave you with this thought. 32,000 people a year get killed by guns in America, right? Of which 18,000 are suicide, 12,000 or so murder. Another 70,000 people get hit by gunfire but survive, often due to the miraculous work of surgeons. 100,000 people a year in this country are hit by gunfire. At some point, if that was a new disease that did that, the federal government would pump with the full support. Look at what happened with Ebola, right? 2 people died of Ebola in America, and billions were thrown at combating this lethal disease. And yet 100,000 people a year could be hit by gunfire, and nobody wants to change anything to try and stop that happening.
If 100,000 people were affected by, let's say, French cheese.
Right. Right, the most lethal concoction out there.
Right.
And my final question for you, Mike, is can you get me a Kinder Surprise egg? Because I haven't had one in America for years.
Well, what sucks, Piers, is I hate when I want to argue with somebody and they have a shockingly rational, reasonable point. And
I would like to apologise. On a positive note, the previous guest who rang in had a slightly irrational view of me, which I think balances it out.
I feel like in general, it's wrong to listen to other angles on topics. I don't know why, but most people don't want to hear other angles on any hard-hitting topic.
And I would say to all the pro-gun people, it's not, I think I overdid it at CNN a bit, and I became a little bit too obsessive about it and very uninterested in listening to people's views if I felt they were just very pro-gun. And I think there's a middle ground to be had in that debate, which is really important.
We have just a couple of minutes. With that said, did they ever tell you to tone it down with the gun talk on CNN?
No, but there was a kind of sense of, don't be too repetitive about it and listen more and don't be... I think somebody put it like this to me. It was Jeff Zucker, the president of CNN. And he said to me, look, Piers, I've been watching these debates. They're very lively, it's great television and so on, but... He said, can you stop calling them idiots, these gun guys? And he said, could you not frame it as, I think your position, your argument is idiotic? And I knew what he meant. One is a very personal attack, you're an idiot, and one is the position that you're adopting is idiotic to me, right? It's not as personally offensive. And I said, I could, Jeff, there's just one slight problem. And he said, what's the problem? I said, they are fucking idiots. But that, you see...
I love that you can't help yourself.
But by saying that, I think that was wrong of me and he was right. And actually, it would have been a more constructive debate had I taken Jeff's position and not been quite so personally abusive. But it's hard. You watch 20 kids being blown to pieces in the classroom, and the first guest you have on says the only answer is to arm all the teachers. Yeah. I boil over with anger. But
and he boils over, too, for the same reason. Yeah. I find that it's hard. Everyone's waiting, and I'm guilty of this, too. We're all waiting for that magic moment where we say the magic thing, which convinces people of what we're saying. And it's frustrating to realize that that's never going to happen.
I'm not right about guns 100%. And I'm not wrong 100%. And the last caller we spoke to, Mike, I think, had a very interesting position. He thought about this, and he believes that there are gun sale loopholes, there are background checks, and so, which can be done, which can improve gun safety.
But the biggest problem, both sides don't even want to listen to the other side.
Yeah,
but they refuse to even come to a table and go, all right, let's try to at least listen to each other. Maybe we could find, dare I say, some kind of middle ground or some.
Did we get further with Mike? In the debate, or did we get further with the guy who wants to send me home as I'm a paedophile, loving, hack charging,
I love both
blah, blah,
those
blah.
guys.
Right.
I did love both those guys.
They both add to the debate, but I suspect one was a slightly more constructive debate than the other.
I think what Piers is saying, though, is can't we all just be nice? And I don't disagree. That's a good thing.
This guy, they said till 9:55, if you don't mind. So we got 5 minutes. This guy in capital letters, this will be the last one on this topic. Anthony in North Carolina. You got Piers Morgan.
Yeah, hey, Piers. I'm retired military.
Yeah.
And I can tell you, a lot of you guys are typical media, as Opie and Anthony call it, douches. When we were over in Iraq and Afghanistan, you guys, the way you word things, like with your 100,000 people got slaughtered in the 70s and stuff, the way you guys word things, okay, and the way you guys report stuff from over in Iraq and Afghanistan is complete horse shit. Okay.
I don't follow your argument, sorry.
Well, I'm getting to it.
Well, we don't have a lot of time, so we don't need a whole lot of...
Okay, we'll cut to the chase.
Thank you.
Here's the thing. Back in the 80s, if Americans didn't own guns, Russia was looking to attack and overtake America. The soldier count was going to be 4-1. Once they factored in all the guns that the private citizens owned, it turned the tables back to 3-1 America's side. Okay? Now, over in Iraq and Afghanistan, a lot of the British thought just like you. Well, let's do this. Let's take this away and let's tell them how to live their lives. Okay? You go over there and you tell them people how to live their lives in Iraq and Afghanistan and Middle East and see how it works for you.
Well, let me answer you.
Wait. Let me finish.
Well, I think you need to understand one rather salient point. Let me just tell you a fact. My brother is a serving lieutenant colonel in the British Army and served 2 tours of Iraq and Afghanistan. So I'm very aware of what the British Army did there. Well, he served alongside a lot of American troops and officers and had great respect for them. And they did a very difficult job with great heroism and courage. But they also acknowledge, anyone who's been out there, that it's an incredibly difficult situation. And that actually going into foreign countries, sovereign states like Iraq, and trying to instill our definition of freedom and democracy doesn't necessarily always collide with what they want for themselves. And so you have to be sensible about it. And I don't disagree with that. Yeah, but I think you were making presumption about what I thought without even asking me, and I would agree with you.
But you've already stated several times on CNN, which is considered the communist news network, what your stature is. We already know what your view is.
No, but I think if you're trying to conflate the argument into I don't think the military should have guns or the police, then you're barking in the wrong forest, because I've never said that. Half my family are military.
I never said that the military shouldn't have weapons. They got to have weapons. There's just no way around that.
Right.
Okay. Now, what I'm saying is a lot of the British people going over into that country and stuff, they all think the same way you do. Everybody needs to live the way we live. We got to be happy. We got to be loving. We got to be this. We got to be that. Now, you say the stats over here is 100,000 people get hit by gunfire every year.
Yeah.
What are the stats in your country? How many people get hit over there by stray fire?
I mean, let me.
Much, but it still happens.
Well, no, let me explain. I can answer the question. The last recorded year, I think, was 2013. I think it was 32 people in England and Wales were killed by guns. In America, you have 80 people a day killed by guns. We have 32 a year. So when you try and
we're still winning, sir.
You know what I mean? I mean, whichever way you try and look at the statistics, America has more people murdered by guns a year than the next 22 richest countries in the world combined.
America also has the least amount of terrorist acts and bombings and shootings than any other country.
Well, that's completely untrue. You've had more people killed by terrorists.
Completely untrue.
You've had more people killed by terrorist in New York in the last 12 years
one incident
than have happened in the whole of Europe in the last 50 years. So it's a complete nonsense.
Look at all the bus bombings over in Europe.
Okay, yes, you had 3,000 people. You had 3,000 people killed on September the 11th. How many people do you think have been killed by terrorists in the whole of Europe in the last 10 years?
Okay, first of all, what did guns have to do with September 11th? Nothing.
I didn't say they did. You said that America had less terrorism victims than any other country in the world. I said, actually, it's the complete opposite. You've had more.
Actually, it's not. We had, if you take into consideration how many times we've been attacked and how many times Europe's been attacked, sorry, who's barking in the wrong
well,
now?
let me leave you with this thought, right? After September the 11th, which was an appalling atrocity, and I came into New York about a week later, and the solidarity of this city in particular was stunning to observe for anybody, American or otherwise, right? And New Yorkers are an incredibly resilient people, and I'll never forget that. But everything changed about the laws of flying. Everything around the world. Suddenly, when I flew, I had to take everything off. I had to go through new checks. In other words, Americans were very happy to be regulated in a very, draconian manner, and have continued to be happy to be regulated when they fly. Let me finish. As a direct result of that terror attack, and yet when 100,000 people a year are hit by gunfire, nobody seems to want to be regulated in any way that makes those numbers go down. I simply say that as an outsider, and that's what I am, I look at that and say, why? What's the difference?
The argument they would make is probably Constitution, but, one is a constitutional right and one is not.
If something's been amended already, it can be amended again. The Constitution, in regards to the Second Amendment, was done when everyone... But people had... Well, I have as much right...
You're not a born...
That's not a valid argument.
Well, actually, it's also an untrue argument. I am governed as a U.S. resident, living and working in America. I am under the same constitutional rights as you, sir. I'm afraid
Okay.
It's one of the great things about America. It's my constitution as much as yours.
If you don't like it here, pack up and go home.
But I do like it here.
He never said he didn't like it
sir.
here.
I actually love it here. You know why I love it here? Because we have the freedom in this country for people like you to ring in and give me a hard time.
The laws that are here.
All right, thank you,
All right,
bud.
Anthony,
It's the accent, Piers.
We truly have to
The
go.
accent
He
bothers
really has
people.
to go. But
Okay.
thank you for your phone call. Piers Morgan, it's always a pleasure because you get the people are talking.
It's good. It's a very good debate then. And it's always good to see you guys.
And I know when you got fired from CNN, a lot of people went, yeah, good. And I was like, no, it's not good. Now you're going to watch soft shit. And that's what CNN has now, soft stuff.
Well,
and they're taking shots at you, by the way.
That's okay.
Anderson Cooper took a couple digs.
Well, he said, I think...
while he was hanging out with with Kathy Griffin.
He said, I hope Piers gets a job soon. And my response was, it's not about whether I should get a job soon. It's just a surprise he's still got one. And on that bombshell, I will love you and leave you, gentlemen.
What were we promoting today? Because we didn't even get the word out.
I am now editor-at-large at Talking of Jobs at dailymail.com. It is the biggest English-speaking newspaper website in the world. And if you haven't experimented with it, click on dailymail.com and enjoy it. It's a brilliant, rampaging beast of news and entertainment on a daily basis, and you will enjoy it.
Every link I click winds up going there. Like I have no, like I just get like a link or a Twitter link. It's all
always there.
Daily Mail.
And I'll leave you with this. He agrees with Mayor de Blasio. We didn't even get to this
Exactly.
today.
Yes.
The open letter to Mayor de Blasio. So if you're really mad at Piers, read what he has to say on the whole Mayor de Blasio thing and the cops.
It was
He's on de Blasio's side.
It was one of the most viewed columns I've done since I joined the Daily Mail, because I simply argued that I think the reason he's so unpopular right now with so many New Yorkers is because he's absolutely right. And if a white mayor who has a black wife and 2 black kids cannot draw some kind of nuance about what is happening to the black community in relation to police officers in America right now, then nobody can. And, you know, I've watched 4 or 5 or 6 terrible incidents in the last 3-4 months involving rogue police officers, and I use that phrase advisedly because the vast majority are terrific public servants. Rogue police officers getting into shooting incidents with young black Americans, which I find completely inexcusable. And the fact that should we come back to this another time?
Yes.
I can actually feel you seething with rage. I need to get out for my own safety.
No, I just don't agree with you. But
I'm just happy you said that it's rogue cops, and because
I have huge support for the NYPD.
He made it seem like it was a lot more than rogue cops.
He handled this abysmally.
Yeah.
I don't agree.
I think one of the stats I saw was well over 99% of the cops do the right thing.
The NYPD, according to the Daily News, killed, I think, 174 people in the last 15 years. 82% were black or Hispanic. 34%, I think, were unarmed.
What is the I have to say, though, I have to jump in. What is the percentage of black and Hispanic gun criminals? It's an so that's kind of an unfair stat. If that is the group of people who happen to have the guns, then that's kind of, it balances out.
They're simply stats, right? Stats which I think should at least raise concern. And when you watch the videos of Eric Garner being choked to death on a cell phone video, then you've got to say that the police officer that did that, the idea that he doesn't face any kind of proper trial for his actions in killing somebody in a chokehold on the streets of New York is ridiculous. So I have great sympathy with those who protest with him.
It was an unfortunate
not the violent ones.
situation, Piers.
Well, yeah.
Piers has to go. They're freaking out.
The unfortunate situation is I now have to leave.
Yeah, we'll talk about it next time.
But if you want to be possibly enraged or maybe enlightened, he wrote an open letter to Mayor de Blasio, and he agrees with de Blasio. And you can find that at dailymail.com.
Yeah, and I just think on that last point, you can agree with him without believing what he did was an attack on the NYPD. That's where I come from. Okay. I support the NYPD, but on the Eric Garner thing, it was outrageous.
Okay, and that guy is really mad.
Well, not at us, he better not be, because we were very...
My PR supremo from the Daily Mail is about to commit Harry Carey if I don't get out of here.
Okay. Piers, we have a huge audience. He'll be okay. He'll be all right. Piers Morgan, everyone.
Guys, thank you very much.
Thank you. We'll see you next time.
Cheers.
I want to say happy birthday to the Supreme Leader. Not you, Jimmy.
You just wished me happy birthday.
The Supreme Leader is 32 years old today. Happy birthday. Where's Dennis Rodman? Dennis Rodman doesn't go over there anymore for his birthday?
Oh, Kim Jong-un's 32.
Kim Jong-un, 32 years old. What does a guy like that do for his birthday, you think?
Fucks bitches, I guess.
If I worship him. I don't know. I mean, the whole country makes a big deal out of it. and the joy they're over. They really are asses over there.
Imagine if the whole country loved you. You would never have to go to the gym.
What do you mean, imagine? They do.
But you would never have to go to the gym.
God, that would be nice.
Kim Jong-un doesn't have a hint of a muscle. Know why? Because the whole country worships him.
Yeah. You know what he looks like? He looks like that fucking talking fish from The Sopranos.
The big pussy.
The big pussy one. Yeah, that's what he's built like.
He looks like a Billy Bass mouth or whatever.
He doesn't even know what low self-esteem means. He has no idea what that means.
No.
None whatsoever.
He's just got everywhere he goes somebody being like, "No, you're right. You're awesome."
And so that means he doesn't need to do any cardio or work on his abs or any of that shit.
That's true.
All right. Neil deGrasse Tyson walking down the hall. Is he coming in here?
I don't think so. He's going to another store. Another one first.
Sir? He's all badass with his
got his
sunglasses.
shades on. Fucking Neil's all ready.
Yeah.
I watched a documentary on North Korea, but it was during the other Kim reign.
Yeah, the other.
Kim Jong-il.
Yeah. And they had the same, like they were interviewing men in that country about him, and they were all talking about how great he was.
Yep.
But the whole time, they had the same haircut as him.
Right.
So like they kind of cut it close to the sides, but then let it go poofy on top.
Right.
That's how much they worship that guy. He's got a terrible haircut, and everybody just gets their haircut.
But here's the problem. If I was a supreme leader and I had the whole country kissing my ass, and you show up with my haircut, you're dead. You're dead.
You like to be unique.
Yes.
No, but it's a worship thing. You might, if you were in a position of that, knowing that they were all beneath you, and they were all doing it to tribute you, maybe. Because like the fact that the entire military kind of looks up to me and does their hair like me, it makes me feel good about myself.
Buzz cut?
They do.
That's where they got that from.
Of course it is.
By the way, they don't celebrate his birthday.
What?
They don't celebrate his birthday? Why not?
They don't know his birthday.
They don't know his birthday?
They don't know how old he is. When Dennis Rodman last year sang happy birthday to him,
he got mad?
That was the first time the date had ever been publicly...
Well, why was that? He didn't get mad, obviously.
Probably because he doesn't want to be a person.
Yeah, his private life is very...
Private?
Nothing is known about him in North Korea publicly.
Oh. Okay.
Like, what's Zeus's birthday?
January 11th.
No.
I know, I did his party.
No.
Happy birthday, Zeus.
Did you play God of Thunder for him?
Fuck yeah.
Man, you can tell that Piers misses having a show that he can debate on. He knows E.T. Weekly won't give him that.
You know, I thought we said that afterwards. Yeah.
They're way more interested in the French cheese.
Question number one.
That Piers can't have.
What was it like being with the Donald again on Celebrity Apprentice?
Oh, God.
Oh, you think they're going there?
Absolutely.
That sucks. Look, man. I don't even need to check my Twitter to know that probably people are mad that Piers was spewing on our show today. But yeah. I thought it was absolutely terrific.
I love him as a guest,
because, man, he got the phones lit. He got the Twitter lit. And he knows how to argue his position. Whether you agree or disagree, he at least knows how to argue his position.
I agree with the percentage of what he says. I don't think he's all wrong about guns. I'm not 100% against what he's saying. I think he makes some decent points.
And I meant it. I mean, I watched Piers almost every night. And when he got fired, there were so many people that were like, "God, thank God he's gone." And I'm like, no, man, they're going to go back to fluff shit.
Boring, yeah.
I mean, Piers would argue with people.
Yeah.
It got wild every night on his show.
But it's kind of good that Piers is gone, because if Piers was still there, we wouldn't get to have Don Lemon every night.
Oh, he's the worst. And then if anything gets a little too crazy on those other shows, like, no, and the host, why are they closing the curtains? We got a surprise guest coming in?
I don't think so. Yeah.
No. I'm just, as we're talking, I do my change for the gym. I asked them to just close that so I could put my sweatpants and change my sweats while we're talking.
Why don't you give the employees a little something to look at? Like, think about somebody.
And why do you have to change
yourself.
now?
Because I like to, he's coming in running late. If I have to just run out, I like to be changed. It's just, that wasn't even going to be.
But anyway, and now you get these hosts, and if people raise their voice a little bit, their first thought is, oh, I got to calm everyone down. We have to keep this civil. Why do you have to keep it civil? It's stupid TV.
But then again, people just yelling over each other is uncomfortable too.
But if you're a good host, why do you have that color underwear?
I bought these. I actually bought these at
Troy Kwan's house.
No, American Apparel. These are like twink underwear, but they're very comfortable.
What kind of blue is that?
You know what? They may be a size too
They're not
big.
supposed to be. You're not supposed to wear baggy teal underwear.
These are like
Is
these
that
are like,
teal officially?
Teal.
Besides, these are mediums. They might even be smalls.
If you got American Apparel teal boxer briefs, they're supposed to be skin tight, and they're supposed to show your package off.
I'm not ready I'm not ready to venture into other colors with my.
What color?
underwear.
I can't just do white. I find just white.
God, Jesus! You got good presentation. You can put your foot down. We all see your package. You're doing good.
Those are like
You're doing good for yourself.
1980s basketball.
Yeah, they're very comfortable. Though.
I can only go. Still to this day, I can only go white, black, and gray.
I like that with girls,
is it.
except for gray.
That is it. I have not ventured into other colors. What color should I venture into, Sam? You know, as you give the impression you're the hippest person around here.
It's not hip. He's fucking
I said
socks.
the impression.
Yes, they're like wavy gravy.
I don't think he is either, but he gives that impression all the time.
My socks have color. My underpants have color.
What color should I venture into, knowing that so far I only do white, black,
So's
and
your
gray?
DNA.
What do you think?
I think that you should.
Kind of a safe color, but a little brave.
That's what I mean.
All right.
It can't be too safe. Like red, that's way too safe.
That red's safe.
Red is safe.
I would never wear red underwear.
Orange is where you go.
I'm
bright
not
orange.
fucking wearing orange.
Why not? That's a nice color.
Because my
good.
pubes are orange. Wait, maybe they're not.
Look,
Let me be
orange
the judge.
pubes.
Sam, make sure my
Horrid.
pubes aren't orange.
Go
Yeah.
check, Sam. Pick one out of your teeth.
Kind of orange.
Look at it on my tongue.
Sam, they're kind of orangey.
Well,
With a hint of blonde.
then your underwear will match with them.
I'm not wearing orange underpants. Anyway, what were we saying about Piers? So,
British.
it's British. He pisses off a lot of people. He gets a lot of people talking.
I love the fact that he at least says what he wants to say, though. He never worries about he's going to upset people, which I like.
Yeah, he had a lot of good things to say about what happened in Paris, too. I mean, the Muslims themselves have to really get involved with this issue.
Yeah.
Because I think that if there are so many law-abiding Muslims out there, it's going to, continue to affect their lives on a very, very personal level. So when does it get to a point where they're like, what the fuck? We got to do something here. My life is now sucking because of these radicals.
Yeah. Although
Right?
they don't say that about any other group. Like, again, with Catholicism or the Jews, Israelis, they don't say, well, the Jews have to work this out, or, well,
Sure.
everyone puts their opinion in.
Right.
We all weigh in. I like to weigh in.
Good for you.
I was going to start talking in my British accent just to make them feel like comfortable.
I want to know about the cheese. What's wrong with the cheese?
I mean,
I'm
we
obsessed with the cheese. What kind of bacteria does it have where you're at risk if you eat it?
That I don't know. I've never even
And
heard
why
of
are we
that.
such pussies in this country when it comes to cheese? We're not pussies when it comes to guns, Sam Roberts, but when it comes to French cheese, we are pussies.
And Kinder eggs. I know. Travis and me were talking about that. We know.
What's the toy in the Kinder eggs?
Well, I used to eat those
It's a
in
knife.
England.
Of course you did.
But what's the toy inside where they're illegal in America? And why wouldn't the Kinder egg people come up with a version where the toy is something nice and soft and not dangerous?
It's not dangerous because the Kinder toy is in like a plastic egg inside a chocolate egg. You can't swallow that thing ever.
So why are they illegal in America? Why aren't we looking this stuff up?
Because we're pussies with chocolate and pussies with cheese.
No, I want a real answer.
That's it.
What are the toys?
They're just these little toys that you build. Like if Disney has a promotion, there's a little figure of like Daffy Duck that you build, or Donald
Yeah, it
Duck,
can
or
be
whichever
anything.
one the Disney
Wait, he's
one is.
talking about the Kinder eggs that are the surprise eggs?
Kinder Surprise.
Those are not illegal in America. I watch
they-
the videos all the time with my
They
kids.
just lifted it. It's been illegal since the 70s.
And why are they illegal? Because the toys that they put together, the pieces are too small. All right.
It's a choking hazard.
He's actually talking about Kinder eggs. I thought that chocolate was horrible when I
Yeah, I get them every time we go to Canada, like to visit my wife's
Yeah.
family. We get them every time.
So that chocolate is actually really good.
Yeah.
Why are they banning them, though?
Because it's
Because
milk.
it's a choking hazard.
Let me explain
Why
this.
can't they just sell them and people don't want them for kids? They don't have to have them.
Because anything that small, it's a choke. You wouldn't be able to sell that toy to begin with, so you can't sell that toy just because it's in chocolate.
I see.
When you're a parent and people don't know any better and they give you these toys, the first thing you do as a parent, you throw away all the tiny little accessory pieces, like little tiny hats that they can put on their dumb guys, or I don't know, like shoes or whatever. You throw all that shit away immediately. You
I
don't
just
even
put all of them in my mouth and see if I can swallow.
You don't even take a
Cocks.
chance. But the Kinder eggs, I only learned about this. No, he's still talking over there. We're good. The Kinder eggs, for the people that don't know, I stumbled upon this with my kids. They're these chocolate covered eggs. I didn't know the chocolate was good. That Piers Morgan loves the Kinder egg. And then inside are these toys that kids, play with or put together and whatever. Right. And these videos on YouTube are massively successful with young kids. They obsess about watching these things. Yeah. When I need a couple hours, I put surprise egg toys or surprise eggs toys in the YouTube search. They're good for an hour or two.
You know why the chocolate is so good?
Why?
Because it's one piece of chocolate, but the front of it is milk chocolate, and the back of it is white chocolate.
That's true.
And you just get it, but it's very, very thin.
And you break it in half. I thought it was just shitty chocolate to get to the toy inside.
Absolutely
break it in
not.
half, and then inside is another plastic kind of eggy thing.
I'll bring you some.
And then inside is the toy.
Oh, the toys. Why don't they just make, like you said, make them without a toy and sell them here in the Big Apple?
Because people are actually buying it for
they make like you can buy Kinder chocolate. Like I've bought it in stores here.
Oh, you can. Okay.
Yeah, but it's just like a chocolate bar.
Why buy chocolate? Don't you want the one that's going to have the thing?
But why wouldn't they use shitty waxy chocolate if they know most people buying this for the toy inside? But why wouldn't they?
Because that's what Cadbury does.
Yeah.
Cadbury.
Well, Cadbury.
Yuck.
Because the most fun part is getting the toy.
Because in these videos, they kind of throw the chocolate to the side, like, we don't give a fuck about this dumb chocolate. We want to see what's inside.
Kids love toys more than chocolate.
So sure they do.
All right, now what about the French cheese? What's the bacteria in there that could kill you?
It's that French shit.
Where it's illegal in America, but they could eat it whenever they want in Paris.
I don't know anything about that.
Can we find that out, too?
Try a lie.
Well, because maybe one person had a weak fucking stomach and died from it.
Well, the cheese lobby is pretty big over here. I'll bet your Kraft has been lobbying against it. That's just my opinion.
How do Opie and Jimmy go from comics yesterday to serious stuff with Piers and Neil today?
That was just the guests we had booked. I mean, we had comedians one day.
I think they're impressed by that.
Oh, I think
they're not. That call's not complaining. He's asking, how do you actually do that?
Oh, it's just whatever the vibe of the moment.
For your wisdom.
That's why I love this show. I mean, on a daily basis, you know what the fuck's gonna happen. I mean, tomorrow. Oh, tomorrow we don't have to work. Yay!
Yeah. Well, I have to work.
What?
Fucking modeling.
Oh, I see.
Is that why you got those underwear?
Absolutely, twink modeling.
This guy wants to ban Islamic religion from the U.S.
That's just silly, dude. I understand the emotion behind getting angry at something, but it's silly. I'm for it. If you want to ban all of them, get rid of the Jews, the Christians, all the religions. No more. I'm with you.
Imagine there's no
hats. I'm trying to work on something with that.
Imagine there's no
Briggs.
It's easy if you
jerk off.
Let's do this. Mad Libs
with John Lennon's.
Imagine all the
Mark David Chapman's
living in
prison for killing me. Hey.
Why wouldn't you play Imagine at this point?
Yeah, what are you doing in there? Futzing around?
I just want to hear the me. Hey, now.
Yeah, now you ruined it, E-Rock. It's dead. What are you doing in there?
I was actually looking up the E. coli stuff from the French cheese.
Oh, thank you.
Okay, you know what? E-Rock was doing some
good
business.
Boy.
We got a break, though, because it's going to be, we have to catch up on breaks, and we have NGT coming in.
Yes, we do. Neil deGrasse Tyson.
Nobody's acknowledging.
Watching your penis.
I'm not. I'm actually grabbing my bag and itching it. I had a bag itch, and I was addressing it.
Hey,
sweats.
We got one podcast, but two things, right? I still
one podcast,
one
two
stream, two podcasts.
Yeah. Two streams on one podcast. Wouldn't it be one podcast with two streams?
No.
Why?
One podcast.
Just go to iTunes.
Right.
Look up Opie and Anthony or Opie and Jim.
Right.
Click subscribe.
Right.
Every Wednesday, you'll get the Opie and Anthony podcast.
All sugar.
Every Thursday, you'll get the Opie and Jim podcast.
So, today...
Don't try to simplify it anymore.
All right.
Because you confuse people.
And this is the
two
best
episodes a week.
And this is the best of 2014?
Today is the best of 2014 Opie and Jim.
And yesterday was the best of 2014 Opie and Anthony.
Volume 1.
And when is the whole request show start? Tomorrow?
That's tomorrow.
Nice. And people can request any bit they want.
Right. If they
from
call
the 10
the
years
phone
of
number,
satellite.
You can request any bit over the last 10 years.
Ooh.
Any bit.
Any bit.
And don't, guys, and request other people's bits. I know that everyone's just going to say, Jim. Don't be shy. Request Louie or Patrice or other people, too. Don't just Jim.
Where do they go to request their bits for the big Friday show? I think it's 6 to 8 p.m. every Friday. It's going to be listener requests, and like I said, you can pick whatever bit you want.
Yeah.
No restrictions.
There's a phone number. It'll be on the promo.
It should just be Chip Friday, because that's what everyone's going to want.
And do we start on Mass tomorrow, too?
Yes.
Friday is a big day for this channel. I mean, we're shoving way too much programming down your throats in one day. I think there's a replay of your advice show on Fridays now.
Oh, good.
I think we got on Mass. We got Sammy. Hey, Sammy, let's talk it out.
No, just go to
part of the Friday show.
We do have to go to break. Come on, babe.
Go to commercial.
Come here, babe.
Sammy, part of Fridays.
No, sit the fucking hard.
You and your live show.
I have a show on Friday.
Piece of garbage.
I have a show on Friday. It's fine.
Yeah.
It's at
Let's go
3
get our
p.m.
prick sucked.
And what else we got? We got Accelerate. We got Ron Bennington on Fridays, and us sometimes on Fridays. Then you got the Sam Roberts Show on Fridays. You got E-Rock doing a little Friday action now. You got the All Request Show on Fridays, and Unmasked, and a replay of Jim Norton's advice show. You guys should throw all that in a nice promo to make it sound...
There is one.
Shut up, E-Rock. We got a break.
Sound better than
Okay,
that.
here we go.
Okay, all right.
More with Opie and Jim after this.
All right, the announcement you have all been waiting for. Steven Singer, Valentine's Day. He's already pushing Valentine's Day.
You should do Kinder Eggs.
Kinder Eggs. He should do Kinder Eggs for real.
Right.
With little
diamonds inside.
diamond surprises inside. That would be wonderful. I just don't understand Steven Singer wouldn't give us just a break. A break to let us digest the whole Christmas shit.
Well, you can't, because you got to jump right into Valentine's Day.
No, you don't. He could have taken a week. Trust me, that guy could have taken a week.
He's got money
would have been
to spend.
So we're announcing the new color every year. He has a color for his roses, his gold-dipped roses. This is what this is about. And this year's color is butterscotch. I don't like butterscotch.
It's not the one Who Kid was asking for.
What are you talking about?
He wanted a brown rose.
Oh, that's right. He does want a brown rose.
But I guess this is as close as you're going to get.
I never enjoyed butterscotch candy, but I guess the butterscotch color's pretty cool. Right?
Like Werther's Originals.
What's that?
Butterscotch candy.
Of course you would know. Sorry.
It's an old people candy.
Sorry, I didn't mean to take that shot.
I know, keep going.
I'm trying to do things differently around here. It's not easy.
It shows.
Butterscotch is the color this year. 24-karat gold-dipped roses are the perfect gift for Valentine's Day, starting at just $59. Can you imagine? This real long-stem rose is lavishly dipped in 24-karat pure gold. This gift will last forever. You'll get credit for this romantic gift year-round. So why think about Valentine's Day already? Well, because Steven Singer sells out this gift every year, and he wants to make sure you get the first shot at ordering his brand-new color, butterscotch. Bullshit! Sorry, Eric.
It's all right.
I had to call bullshit, and I'll tell you why. If he really cared about us, his servants, he would just make a ton of them. Don't make it limited. Take care of everybody.
Well,
that's what I say.
If everyone can get it, then it's not as special.
Whatevs. It's beautiful. Limited quantities are available. So order yours today. That's what he wants. He just wants business today.
Always. Always on top of things.
Steven makes it so easy. Just go online. I think we got chemistry, E-Rock. I'm feeling it.
I think you just have to go to the bathroom. You're dancing around.
I'm feeling like me and Eric have chemistry, Sam Roberts.
He's going to say no.
No, I'm feeling it. Sammy! Me and Eric have a little chemistry.
Yeah, stop talking.
What do you mean stop talking? You hate when I don't do this properly. I'm doing it properly today, and I got a little chemistry going with Eric Nagel.
You're not doing it properly.
I'm hoping I can be his co-host on his Friday show.
Look, you and Eric are great together, but just please finish the commercial so we can play the rest of the commercial.
You missed the chemistry, though. It was terrific.
I was listening in the office. You guys talking about Werther's and shit was amazing.
Thank
I
you.
loved it.
Thank you,
Eric
sir.
is fabulous,
Thank
and so
you.
are you.
Steven makes it so easy, so just go online and buy one of these butterscotch gold-dipped roses, please.
That's more like it.
IHateStevenSinger.com. That's IHateStevenSinger.com. Reserve yours today. On the way, Neil deGrasse Tyson and Eddie Money a little later this morning. We got one of our favorite guests outside the studio. Neil deGrasse Tyson coming in.
Neil, out of this world.
How you doing?
How are you?
What's up, Neil?
All right.
I'd hug you too, but I'm way over here.
Punch that out.
I can't reach that. All right. Fucking Cosmos is off the air. What the hell?
It's on Netflix.
Yeah, but it should have been
get your Netflix account.
It should have been a second season. It was
We're
it was brilliantly done.
We're in conversation.
Really?
Oh, so you're gonna just shut
good.
me down like that? I'm sticking up for you. So you might take it somewhere else. Is that what you're talking about?
No. I'm just saying. There's no subterfugal content of my words. We're in conversation.
You did it perfectly.
No.
Instead of talking over everyone's head, you had nice animation.
Oh yeah, thank you.
And you really dumbed it down
a lot
nicely.
of people worried also that because it was on Fox, that somehow there'd be some editorial forces operating on it that would say, no, but that wasn't the case at all. They said, do what you do.
Right.
And we'll just, there are FCC constraints that they'll look after, but other than that,
They let you do your thing.
Yeah, we'd let us do it.
Oh, so there might be a second season.
I said we're in conversation. What are you trying to get something?
I'm trying to help you out. I'm trying to get the public behind this. That we demand a second season because it really was very, very good.
Yo, thank you. Are we on the air yet?
Oh, yeah.
Are we on the air? Excuse me, this is satellite. Are we in space yet? There's no air up where these satellites orbit.
A lot of people ask, are we on the air yet? Was that just boring what we were doing and you couldn't believe it was on the air?
I couldn't possibly believe this came on. We must still be in commercial break or whatever.
Or you're so used to host being over the top host that you're like, wow, we're just having a normal conversation.
All the time.
No, that's cool. No, but it's a very casual, like someone's joining you at the breakfast table, and that's cool.
Well, how are you supposed to do this?
No, it's good. I'm fine.
If you walked in a restaurant, wouldn't that be the conversation?
It would be. It's totally cool. Totally cool. And
but
let me remind you.
Changed now that you know you're on the air.
Yes, I now have my radio voice. But also, let me follow through where I began, that radio waves, however they don't need air at all. So the idea that you're now on the air is completely pointless. You're on space.
Right.
The space between the air particles is what this stuff carries through. So I'm upset that it never was we're on space.
It just sounds too weird, though.
It is a little creepy, weird, but on the air. The air is irrelevant. True. You can take away all the air, and everyone still get radio reception of everything. That's the point.
See.
And it got nothing to do with the air. Right, on space.
I think you overthink stuff.
No. But just because I think about it more than you do doesn't mean I'm overthinking it. Okay, I could be correctly thinking it, and you're underthinking it. Have you thought of that?
I will acknowledge that you're correctly thinking it, but I think you also overthink some stuff.
Yeah, I'm not denying that. I'm just saying, don't assume that if I think about it more than you, that I'm overthinking. It could be because you're underthinking it. That's all.
Are you thinking all the time, or do you ever
all the time?
Or you let your brain, you never just rest and silly stuff goes in there?
Oh, silly stuff all the time, but he's still thinking.
Right.
I think silly stuff, like one of my Christmas tweets, some of which ran out of control, but one of them was, it was, it was foggy Christmas morning.
Right.
And I couldn't help think of Rudolph's Red Nose, right? And the song. And then I said, I got a cool tweet I can put up. And so I just said that Santa knows physics. All right, red light penetrates fog much better than blue light. And then I tried to be funny, and I said, that's why Benny the Blue-Nosed Reindeer didn't get the gig. That's what that was. But that was very warmly received by the public.
Of course.
It had many, many retweets. But that's thinking silly, of course. It's silly, but it's silly convolved together with real science.
How about we talk about the one that wasn't well received?
Well, it depends on how you define.
The Isaac Newton one, that was very popular.
Well, it had 80,000 retweets. Oh my gosh! My average retweet is a couple thousand, maybe.
All right, stop bragging.
No, it's for context here, okay? I'm just saying, if a tweet that I feel good about and it's got good science content and make you smile and make you want to share it, that'll come in between 2,000 and 4,000 retweets. And a really good one is hitting 7 or 8, possibly 10. This Isaac Newton tweet on Christmas Day hit 80,000 retweets. And so people, I don't know if they lost their minds on this one. It was highly praised and criticized. Criticized.
Oh, yeah, it was criticized.
Yeah, the tweet was, in case anyone didn't know, because 80,000 is not 330 million of the United States. But the tweet was simple. It was, long ago, a child was born who, by the time he turned 30, transformed civilization as we know it. Happy birthday, Isaac Newton, born December 25th, 1642. That's all it was.
That's a great tweet.
That's what people they lost their minds.
A nice flip, nice spin.
Well, it was a spin, and I try to bring and for me, a cosmic perspective is however big you think you are, there's something bigger in the universe that I'm going to alert you of.
Right.
However important you feel you are as a person or as a country, I will alert you that there are other people who also think they're important, or this context is, I always feel important, and it derives from sharing what any one of my colleagues would call the cosmic perspective. So here we are on Christmas Day. Perhaps you didn't know that some other important people were born Christmas Day. That's all. And so I highlighted you already knew that Jesus' birthday is celebrated that day.
Right.
Well, he wasn't actually born that day.
Right.
That day was chosen for astronomical reasons, by the way. But so I do this, and then somebody put a headline up that said, Tyson is trolling Christians on Christmas Day. And I think if that's the definition of trolling, I mean, you want to really see me troll? People can troll.
You can do better than that.
Yeah, we can totally troll better than that. And not only that, 2 days before, I posted 10 photos of the Christmas windows at Macy's in Herald Square. And saying Merry Christmas and the Christmas windows, and why? Because Santa and the little kid Alex were taking a journey. One of Alex's wishes was to go on a tour of the solar system with Santa Claus. And so I took pictures and I posted them. Mm-hmm. And so people, I think, they were directed to that one tweet, and then were guided by a headline that I'm somehow trolling, and they don't see the whole rest of the context.
And that was a fact.
The tweet was a fact. It has the benefit of being true.
Right.
Right.
So how is that trolling?
Right. So I just keep moving. I just keep. And then I said, my gosh, some people wanted me to withdraw the tweet. So I said, no. I said, I'd rather live in a world where people are enlightened by objective truths rather than offended by them.
I was completely enlightened because I'm like, I had no idea that's when he was born. That's kind of interesting that he's born on that particular day.
Now it's even more interesting because in England, being the Anglican Church that had separated from Rome under King Henry VIII, England was slow to adopt the Gregorian calendar, which was put into place in 1582. They were slow, as you can expect. Why would they do what the Pope says? The Pope didn't grant the divorce of King Henry VIII. You're not going to choose a whole different calendar that they came up with. So England stayed on the Julian calendar long after the rest of Christendom had switched over. And the Julian calendar is 10 days ahead of the Gregorian calendar.
Okay.
And because too many days had accumulated since Julius Caesar's day, when that calendar was first put into place. So Pope Gregory says the calendar is going out of sync. They're Jesuit priests who were also astronomers, and they created the Vatican Observatory. They observed the movement of the sun and the stars and the Earth. Earth was considered stationary at the time, but the movement of the sun against the stars was enough to make these measurements. They do it. They said, the 10 extra days, we got to take them out. In 1582, October 4th was followed by October 15th.
No kidding.
So that's kind of like, well, how do you pay the landlord when that happens, right? You got to do the calculation.
They really did it that way?
Yes.
They just jumped ahead.
Oh, yeah. And so that jump-started the Gregorian calendar. Yeah. And so while England, December 25th was Christmas Day for them, that was actually January 4th in the rest of Christendom that was controlled by Rome.
Huh.
By the Catholic Church.
And was it exactly 10 days?
Yeah, 10 days got it really sharp. Well, they first had to correct the error by taking out the 10 days. Then they had to put in the rule that will never have the 10 days accumulate again. And I can tell you that rule if you want, but it's interestingly obscure. I don't know if you want to go there.
My brain will blow up.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting though. Can we go there?
Okay, and then I have a physics question after.
Okay,
let's try.
Are you ready to go there?
I'm going to try.
You think so?
I already know this, but
I don't know if I think so.
Yeah, for instance, because every time I'm on your show, you say, you know this, but for other people's sake.
Absolutely.
Yeah, okay.
Son of a bitch.
So, okay, here, are you ready? Are you seated?
I'm trying.
Okay. So, in the time of ancient Rome, they knew that the time it takes Earth to go around the sun does not evenly divide into days. Okay? It doesn't.
Right.
So it takes about 365 and a quarter days for Earth to go around the sun. So you can't have a calendar that splits in the middle of a day. It doesn't make civil sense, all right, cultural sense. So what they did was they said, all right, every year we're accumulating a quarter of a day that we're not reckoning in our timekeeping. So after 4 years, let's put that, we've now assembled, stapled together a whole day, let's stick that in the calendar. And thus was born the leap day of February 29th.
That's easy.
That is the Julian calendar.
Right.
What they didn't know was that they were slightly overcorrecting.
Wow.
For this, okay? So, in fact, adding a day is putting a little too much time back in. But it was so small, no one noticed it at the time. This is now, it's 2,000 years ago. And then by the 1500s, the Catholic Church is noticing that Easter is shifting away from March 21st and the equinox were separating in time. And the equinox is supposed to happen on March 21st. And the equinox doesn't care about your calendar. The equinox is going to happen no matter what. The calendar was shifting relative to the astronomy of the cosmos. And the Pope said, we got to fix this because Passover and Easter are starting to look like they will fall on the same day, and you can't have that. You can't confuse Catholicism with Judaism. In fact, one of the early steps that was done where they took the Sabbath out of Saturday. Saturday is the seventh day God rested, right? So that should be the day of worship. But when Christianity distinguished itself from Judaism, they, by decree, made Sunday the Sabbath day. And so this was a continued effort to distinguish Christianity from Judaism. So he says, okay, this is a problem. We have to fix this. So I don't know how to fix it. So they hired his Jesuits, who were the academic order of the Catholic Church. They knew some astronomy. They founded the Vatican Observatory. This is even before telescopes were invented. Telescopes were invented in the 1600s. We're talking about the 1500s now. They studied what went wrong and why, and they said, here's the problem. You're overcorrecting. So first you got to take out, we've put 10 too many days in over the last 1,500 years. First you got to take them out. All right, we'll do that. Next, what other corrections should we do? Well, we've been overcorrecting. Every 4 years, leap day overcorrects. But by how much? I'll tell you, every 100 years, you've overcorrected by 1 day.
Wow.
So they said every 100 years, which would be a leap year,
right?
Okay, you take away a day. So 1900 would normally be a leap year, and the 4-year rule was not a leap year. 1700, not a leap year. Okay, so now it turns out by taking that day out, you are now undercorrecting by just a little bit. Just a little bit. So now you wait until a day accumulates, and then you throw a leap day back in. Every 400 years, the no leap day every century rule undercorrects by 1 day. So every 400 years, you put the leap day back in. So the year 2000 was a 400-year cycle of the leap day. But most people who saw February 29th on the calendar in the year 2000 said, well, of course, it's divisible by 4. It's a leap day. No! This has only happened once before in the year 1600.
And I remember that. Nobody noticed it then
Nobody.
either.
It went completely...
You knew this, Jimmy?
Yes, of course I did.
It went completely unnoticed. It was a rare leap day that you would get on a century year.
I had no idea.
And so this double correction where you take one out and put one back in now protects the calendar for millennia to come. And that is the Gregorian calendar. And it's a brilliant calendar.
And it's accurate now.
It is the most accurate calendar ever devised, and that's one reason, among others, why it's used internationally.
Right. Wow.
And by the way, there are people who talk about the calendar, and they say, instead of saying BC and AD, they say BCE before the Common Era, and they're trying to like de-Christianize the referencing. Mm-hmm. And I'm thinking, look, Pope Gregory figured this stuff out. Give the man some credit. So I'm perfectly happy saying BC and AD because the Gregorian calendar established our reckoning of time.
If they tell us,
and they did it before the telescope.
They're telling us you got 5 minutes.
5 minutes.
We can't have you for only 5 more minutes.
Well, you made me tell this whole long story, but I'm just saying.
I kind of said dumb physics question. It's been bothering me.
There are no dumb physics questions.
You're right. Okay. But I mean, for me, I just feel dumb asking. Brian Greene did a speech, I guess, 10 years ago at the TED, talking about how they were going to devise through the collider these great experiments to find other dimensions. dimensions, and I didn't get any follow-up on that. So have they come up with good experiments to
So then why don't
find
you bring
other
him back on?
dimensions?
Bring him back on the
But we
show.
didn't have him on.
If he's your man, you go get him.
I wouldn't have him because he didn't explain it well enough. So I said, I need to go to a real
A guy that can explain it to us.
Yes.
And our intelligence.
Have they come up with different...
Okay, so, no, we haven't. It's the higher dimensions that some are sort of compactified so you don't notice them. So I'll give you an example. If you put an ant on a sheet of paper, the ant can only really go in two coordinates, right? Okay. X and Y on a piece of paper. But the paper has thickness. But that's really not important to the ant.
Right.
So it's possible to have more dimensions than you realize. They're just sort of hidden in a way that you don't really interact with them in meaningful ways. So the string theorists, of which Brian Greene counts himself among their ranks, have suggested that, and others have suggested that the actual universe, the real universe that we live in, we only experience 3 spatial dimensions and a time dimension, but in fact, there are other dimensions that are essentially hidden from us. And if there are particles that are discovered in these these large accelerators, so CERN, the European Center for Nuclear Research, or Organization for, it's an acronym, but one of the letters doesn't match one of the words. And so, but CERN is what it is. And it's in Switzerland, not the United States. We might have had a kick-butt collider, but the budget got canceled in the early 1990s. We would have discovered the God particle.
Really?
In the 1980s. In the 1990s. This particle was just discovered. Banner headlines in Switzerland. We would have had that in the pocket back in the 1990s had we continued the construction of that collider. So we're out of the game there. I mean, so we take a boat across the pond and go to Europe.
I saw you say that in an interview, that to you is the biggest shock in physics. I go on Neil deGrasse Tyson fucking loops on YouTube and just watch it. But you said that in an interview. They said, what was the biggest shock you've had? And you said the way that we have kind of dropped the ball with science.
Drop the particles.
And what's the significance of the God particle again? Quickly.
Yeah, so the particle, it's been called the God particle because of the power that it exercises over other particles. So it's called the Higgs boson, and there's a field that it creates. And as you move through the field, your interaction with this field is the manifestation of your mass. So I tell you how much mass you have as you go through my field. And so if you're going to be a particle, that's kind of the cool particle to be. And it's a very important particle in our understanding of what we call the standard model of particle physics.
Right.
Where how we have all, electrons, protons, neutrons, quarks, neutrinos, all of this. There's a family of all these particles. They all fit together in a very nice puzzle. And the Higgs boson was a missing piece of this puzzle. And the Large Hadron Collider of CERN confirmed this discovery now a year ago.
Right.
So we're all quite excited about that. So the Higgs boson is that kind of particle. And so here's an analogy to it. All right. If you think of a Los Angeles party, not a New York party. In a Los Angeles party, if no one knows who you are, you can walk through a party and no one will stop you. You have a very low celebrity mass.
He's explained every LA party I've ever been to.
So, no, but if you're Taylor Swift and you enter a party, people will crowd around you. And you have a very hard time sort of accelerating through this party.
Right.
Because people are in your way, people are behind you, you can't move. You can move, and you can move slowly and in a stately way. And that way you have a much greater party mass.
Gotcha.
So the Higgs field behaves exactly like a Los Angeles celebrity party.
Okay.
The better known you are, the slower you can move through the party, the higher is your mass.
I'm being distracted because they're saying this sucks that he's got to go.
Oh, and I got one joke that I got from a friend of mine. His name is Brian Mallow. He's called the Science Comedian. Right. So he bases all his comedy on science.
Wow.
So here's it. You ready? So Higgs boson walks into a church. Okay. And the priest says, I'm sorry, we don't allow Higgs bosons in churches. And he said, excuse me, sir, but without me, you can't have mass. I thought that was
that's not bad.
That's good.
It's really. Are we any closer to finding civilization somewhere else?
We're looking for life of any kind.
Right.
Civilization is pushing it at this point.
All right, let's save life.
If you find life of any kind, that'd be awesome.
Yeah,
oh my gosh.
Yeah,
life not encoded by DNA, or life that figured out how to be alive without liquid water.
I'm truly an idiot. I meant life. I really.
No,
did.
that's fine. But
are we getting any closer?
You kind of don't know because it has the serendipity is a big part of the search for life? Are you looking at the right place at the right time? Are they sending a signal in this direction at the right time in the right place? If we send a signal to a star that we aim at in the galaxy, by the time the signal gets there, the rotation of the galaxy takes that star to a different place, and the signal misses it. So how do you even know where to point your signal if you're trying to send notice outward versus them sending notice to us? So, but even though we haven't found any life yet, I quote Jill Tarter, who's a leader in this search for extraterrestrial intelligence. She'll say it's saying that there can't be any life out there because we've been looking for 20 years is like saying, it's like taking a cup, an empty cup, going to the ocean shore, dipping it in, holding up the cup and saying, there are no whales in the ocean.
Wow, no kidding.
Ask yourself, how much of this galaxy and the universe have you actually searched?
No kidding.
And don't then say there is no life.
You think we find it in our lifetime? And then
I'd like to. I'd love to know if there are aquifers deep within the surface of Mars that has microbial life that is thriving. Mars has tremendous surface records, pristine records of running water that had been there, meandering riverbeds, river deltas, floodplains, all the geologic features that you see when you fly over the Midwest, where you see how water has cut through the landscape. You see that on Mars. In fact, that's kind of what birthed the concept of comparative planetology, which is a whole field unto itself now. So if this happened on one planet, could it happen on another? And if we have these kind of features on Earth, carved by water, and every place on Earth where there's water, liquid water, there's life, does that mean Mars had life as well?
What happened to the water on Mars?
We don't know. We think it went below surface in a kind of permafrost now. But there might be some warm pockets, some hot pockets down under the surface of Mars. And if there are, perhaps there's microbial life. We had microbial life on Earth for billions of years before we had complex life. So if you're going to throw a dart at a timeline of life on any planet and it hits somewhere, it'll probably hit where there is microbial life.
Wow.
And it's Neil Tyson on Twitter.
Neil Tyson. Yeah, Neiltys. Thanks for the plug there.
I hate and
Star Talk is coming to Sirius Radio.
Oh.
Did you know that?
I did not.
We were trying to work that out with you to get you on our channel.
Oh, no, yeah. I don't control channels. You got channel people
we
here.
love you over here.
You got channel people.
They probably have maybe a better slot for you.
Yeah, probably science.
Our audience would love it.
They got channel people who decided that.
I'm excited for you.
Channel 121 begins next week, next Monday.
More people should be, listening. Your podcast
5
is
p.m.
fantastic.
Eastern, thanks. And we're happy to make this transition and to be in the family here. I was walking up and down the high-fiving people, so I feel the love.
And I think you owe us a little more time.
Yes,
you do.
I'll come back. I mean, you guys are...
All right, you got to come back.
You're cool people.
We're just getting started. Neil deGrasse Tyson, always a pleasure.
The Hayden Planetarium, you can go. I guess you're there a lot. Are you there a lot?
No, I mean, it's my day job, yes, but I'm other places often just trying to get the word out. Yeah. But there's a show there called Dark Universe. It's very cool.
I wanted to go there and ask for you, but I'm like, no, he won't be there.
The show Dark is all about dark matter, dark energy. I narrate it, and I try to put in my dark universe.
Yes, you have a great space voice. You really do.
He does have the best space voice.
Mine is not as convincing.
I just want to come just one notch shy of Barry White, because then it's a different vibe.
Right.
Yeah, next time you're here, I want to talk about your we did a dinner together. We ate with Jerry Cooney for JB Smoove, and Neil deGrasse Tyson was the most interesting guy at the table, which is really hard. But that's hard with a heavyweight fighter.
Yeah, he's got
Larry Holmes.
Jerry Cooney, yeah.
He's got stories, but still.
Yeah.
All right.
Guys, thanks for having me.
Thank you.
All right.
Quick break, and then
Eddie Money.
Eddie Money next. Stay there. Wow, Neil deGrasse Tyson. That sucked. It sucked because we didn't have him long enough.
I think we only actually had him total of 5 minutes less than we should have because he stayed till 5 after, and he was supposed to be out by 10, and he came in like 10 minutes late. So it's a 5-minute difference.
All right, well, where's he now?
EW.
Entertainment Weekly? Mm-hmm. Well, what are they going to talk to him about?
Apprentice.
Stars?
Is he on Apprentice?
No.
They just love talking about Celebrity Apprentice. We got a phone call. He's been waiting a long time. He says he has a new respect for Piers Morgan and us. Let's say hi to JC and Red Bank real fast. JC, go ahead.
Hey, Opie and Jim. Yeah, I followed Piers over to Entertainment Weekly, a station I've never listened to and will not likely listen to again. I didn't hear the entire interview where they greeted him. I didn't hear him plug the DailyMail.com. All they did was talk about Celebrity Apprentice, including Omarosa, not a name that sticks with me. So the fact that he stuck it out, while PR people are freaking out, whether you agree with him or not, he kind of gets it.
He likes a lively debate.
Yeah, he likes that.
He doesn't really care that much if you agree with him. He has his points and he likes making his points. And I do believe he really enjoyed his time with us. His people said he would love to do the entire show next time. So it must suck someone like Piers Morgan that has strong opinions on a lot of things, then goes over to EW and they're talking about Celebrity Apprentice. He was on the first season, right? That's like years ago now.
Well, and to think that you had him on a couple of days after Trump is on with the flu, and it doesn't even come up. You know what I mean? It's like you don't even bring it up.
Dude, we had so much to talk to him about. We didn't even get to really talk about the open letter he did for Mayor de Blasio, which would have really got the phones lit, because he agrees with de Blasio.
Which, again, and that, even the fact that you brought it up, it's unfortunate that he did have to leave because it's a tough subject to just bring up.
Yeah.
And I respect both you and Jim that you can disagree and not attack. While I miss Anthony and some of the jokes he would drop, the gun debate is such a thing for Anthony and for Piers, and Piers at least recognizes that he went too far with it.
Yeah, that was fascinating to hear today. All right.
Well, I enjoy Piers just because he says kind of what he wants to say, and he doesn't really care if he pisses people off, and I respect anybody who does that.
Right. All right, JC. Thank you, brother.
All right, have a good year, guys.
Bye.
Thanks.
Very interesting, the contrast between what Piers did on our show, and then he's got to talk about Celebrity Apprentice. Oh, God, who gives a fuck?
I really wanted to ask Neil Tyson about, you don't realize how strong that fucking guy is. Like, I did my dumb hug with him, and he patted me on the... He could literally throw you through a wall.
Oh, hell yeah.
Did we ever talk about his wrestling on the air?
No.
He was a fucking heavyweight. I think... it might have been light heavyweight. He might have just missed heavyweight on purpose. Wrestler in college. And he was apparently pretty good. And he was a real athlete. Like, he's not just some, science nerd.
Right.
He's a very, very strong guy. And his arms... He's got like John Jones length arms. He's a
big dude.
So
we'll have him
tangled with him.
We'll have him on again for a longer visit. Get into some other things.
I like asking space questions.
I know we got caught up in the calendar thing.
That's okay. It's just,
I kind of thought that was fascinating.
He's interesting. He could talk about anything, and I would find it kind of interesting. But I go on those weird Neil Tyson loops on YouTube. I just start watching these weird physics videos, and I really enjoy his stuff.
Yeah. We got Eddie Money stopping by.
Yeah.
Is he outside the studio?
I don't know.
This day has flown by. We haven't even done anything yet.
There's nothing to do. I mean, we chat about the Paris thing. And
the Paris thing's a big story.
My Cowboys go on the Super Bowl. We're all happy about that.
Not a chance, brother.
They're going to smash the Packers. I guarantee it.
They're
going to smash the Packers.
In Green Bay?
Yes. Why not?
They're going to go to Green Bay and smash the Packers.
Absolutely. They're the better road team. They're a great road team. Better road team. I'd rather have them playing on the road than at home.
And now that Romo's not choking anymore, you're in a good spot.
Yeah, I think hopefully this game was a gigantic hump for him, because normally he doesn't win the games he has to win, and this was one that he started off not too great. The line stunk. I thought the play calling wasn't that great, and he still wound up coming around having a good game, so hopefully this was the hump.
It didn't hurt that Jerry Jones paid off the refs.
Oh, wait a minute.
That kind of helped too.
Yeah, they got a couple of calls that went their way.
As long as Jerry Jones could get to the refs before the game, and then I think you have a good shot there, Jimmy.
I didn't mind that interference not being called, but it was just so stupid. The guy's just bumbling along.
Right.
Well,
you got to call the bumbling along.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I'm just so sick of the refs over-calling things.
True. Yeah, we all bitch and complain that they're throwing the flag too much. I like seeing him play. Governor Christie, they want him to dress in that red sweater and go to Green Bay.
I don't blame them. He should.
As a good luck charm.
He was delightful, and he's a good fan, and they're all fishing for something. He's just first of all, if he really did something illegal with Jerry Jones, do you think he'd be sitting in the owner's box? Here?
Yeah.
Okay.
What, Eddie?
You just checked in.
Who, Eddie Money?
Yeah.
Tell him to go screw.
Yeah. Eddie Moolah.
I thought he was right outside the studio.
What are a couple of his big songs? 2 Tickets to Paradise?
Well, you got Give Me Some Water, if you want to, go deep.
No, big hits.
Cool water.
Are you going to play him in with something?
What's a big hit?
No, I wasn't planning.
Tell me what a big hit is so I can say something.
Take Me Home Tonight.
Oh.
Take me home tonight.
I already know. You what?
I hope you got 3 tickets to Paradise. Come here, big guy.
Why would?
Because there'll be 3 of us. I mean, you got Jim, Opie, Eddie Money. You need 3 tickets.
What?
Do you get that?
Wait, where's the?
Why? What is he promoting? Shakin'. Don't forget Shakin'. You got the 2 tickets to Paradise.
How about give me a hug tonight?
Baby, hold on.
You won't do that.
Yes, I will.
Of course you will.
Do you
Or
think that's
he will.
good?
I do. Yeah, I really do.
You think he won't like?
Turn the camera on right now.
Just in case.
Yeah. Are you gonna dance?
Yeah, give me why not?
Oh my God, I'm fucking filming this
Why
one
won't
today. Is he here?
I'm gonna.
Yeah, with Eddie Mullah.
I'm gonna escort him in.
Eddie this.
Wait, is he here?
Yeah.
Like outside the studio?
No.
What the fudge?
But he will be. He's not outside the studio.
Tell him to go. All right, I guess we could do this then.
He's a very entertaining guy.
I guess we could do this for 2 seconds.
I don't think we need to.
Lady Di.
I don't want to talk to her.
Hi, how you doing?
Why were you sleeping?
What?
Colin wanted to say hi to you, and you were asleep on hold for 2 hours yesterday.
For 2 hours? Somebody told me 1 hour. Okay.
Whatever. Like that would make the difference that it was only an hour that you were falling asleep in the middle of the day instead of working?
I Facebook Colin, and I told him I'm really sorry about that. But what happened was I took some NyQuil, and, when I took the NyQuil, it just knocked me right out.
You're supposed to take Dayquil during the day and then go to a job.
Yeah. Well,
A J-O-B.
I know what a J-O-B is, O-B. I know what a J-O-B is. Anybody's coming in? I love that guy.
Well, maybe you could stay awake for it. Let us know how the doctor thing goes with the fractured feet.
I'm not, wait a minute, hold on a second. I'm not sure if they're fractured. They might just be sprained.
I know, that's why
Okay.
you're going to the doctor. Thus, then
I'm going
let us
to
know
the
what happens
doctor
after you
for
go to
the
the doctor
results of my
about your
x-ray.
fractured feet.
Well, can I talk to Eddie Money when he comes in?
Nah, I don't know. It's up to Jimmy, really.
I'm not listening to a fucking word she says. I'm done with her. Enough.
Oh, Jimmy, come on, man.
I like you, Di. I really do. But I can't listen to you every day.
Why not?
Well, because you kind of get on people's nerves.
No, I don't. My apartment is freezing right now. I already told my landlord about it. I mean, it's cold in here.
Well, pay your bills.
No, I don't pay a heating bill. Okay, the whole apartment is cold. I just called up my next door neighbor, and his apartment is cold. I called up my landlord last night.
Sammy's running down the hall.
And who's running down the hall? Anybody?
Sammy.
Oh. All right. I called up.
What's going on with Eddie Money?
He's here. He's coming in now.
Where? Is he coming down that way?
No.
All right, Di. Thanks for the filler. We got to go. We got Eddie Money coming in.
Oh.
All right. Good luck to you and your fractured feet.
Oh, come on.
All right. Thank you.
I just
All right. Good job. Where's Eddie Money?
I don't know. Maybe he had to go to the bathroom first. I think he drinks a lot, doesn't he? He may have had a nice hangover shit. A nice fucking...
We could ask him about it.
Possibly, yeah. I would love to ask him why he's late, but he'll probably be like, you have a rock star answer. Man.
All right. I think here comes Eddie Money.
It's uncomfortable. I'm embarrassed already. If he punched me in the face, that would be great video.
That would be wonderful video. Here we go.
All right. Eddie Money. What up, boys? Give me a hug tonight.
Right makes the show. That's why I love it.
We're alive.
Eddie Money. It's been a while.
How are you?
Got to do better than the Yankees this year anyway, huh? You
Huh?
got no money? It's New York City. You got no money to pay anyone you want.
I don't want. I'm not a Yankees fan. Why would you bring that shit up?
I could have pitched some majors, but my arm went out in Little League. You know that.
Is this your book? What is this?
That's the play.
You're doing an Eddie Money play?
We're doing a play, yeah. It's going to be a lot of fun.
2 tickets to Paradise, the musical. Wow.
It's got really good songs.
Who's that guy?
Yeah, this is Matt Burns. He's playing the young Eddie Money.
Oh, hi, Matt.
Oh, hey,
How
what's
are you?
up?
Cool.
Can we hear 2 tickets to Paradise? How would you do it? Go ahead.
Yeah, we could do that for you if you want. Sure.
Sure.
Does he sound like you?
Pull your mic
He sounds
closer.
better than me.
Can he
He sounds like me before I smoked a million cigarettes, you know?
You look thinner, by the way. Are you
I
trying?
lost some weight, huh?
Yeah, you look good.
You look really good.
Well, I was fat for a while. I told my wife I loved it. She said, get off me.
Home run, Eddie.
Why are you late, Eddie?
Yeah.
What's going on with you?
I don't know. I had to pick up this Jewish chick. You know how they are. They're always late.
So, are you guys in rehearsals for this musical?
Yeah, we're doing a rehearsal. It's going to be at Malloy College out there.
Okay.
Which is actually exit 20 off the Southern State.
Rockville Center area.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah, and we got the play going on the 14th and the 15th of this month, and the 24th and the 25th.
Okay.
Now, is this a musical about your whole life, or what is this based on?
Yeah, it's a musical about me getting my record deal. I got signed by Bill Graham, and of course I move out to California, make a lot of money, have a drug overdose. He's back.
Did you have a drug overdose?
Yeah, it's the Eddie Money story. It's pretty authentic, and it's got some really great Broadway songs in it, and I'm very proud of it. We actually put it on at Dick Sills Performing Arts Center about 4 years ago. Got really good reviews.
Have you ever talked about the drug overdose?
Well, you want to talk about it? What, huh? People said, how'd you OD? I said, it was free. How do you think I OD?
Yeah, a little too much. And who found you? How did it happen?
What happened is I did this thing called Phenator, which is a bathtub barbiturate, and I was actually drinking a lot of vodka that night, and I thought I was snorting some blow, and it turned out to be just phenitol, and I went into this catatonic state, and my nerves, you know how your nerves twitch in your body?
Yeah.
Well, you know, when you go into the catatonic state, your nerves don't twitch. So I killed the sciatic nerve in my left leg.
Wow.
So I couldn't walk for about 8 or 9 months, which was a real drag. But then I came back with the No Control album, which was my biggest record,
and
I got high all over again.
So wait, someone was with you, or someone came in and found you?
Well, I was with a bunch of people that, you know, I think somebody came in and, one of my best friends found me. Well, actually, I woke up, and I couldn't get up. I felt like my leg was asleep. And it wasn't really asleep. I killed the sciatic nerve in my left leg.
But the nerve came back, obviously.
Yeah, the nerve came back, yeah.
And what does that drug do for you? That's worth risking your life, Eddie Money.
It's kind of like, it gets you, you know, I'll tell you, I did that. I snorted the stuff, and I just went out like a light. I don't know what it does for you. A lot of kids said they did it, and actually, the guy that invented that drug is in jail for the next 30 years because it killed a lot of young people.
Wow.
It really did. It's called phenitol. I don't know how to spell it.
Yeah, I guess you can't get that on CVS, I guess.
Wow.
Oh, man.
Thoughts are, hey.
Hey, look, I can't sing, Sal. Give me a guitar. I'll show you what just happened.
So wait, now I'll that's funny. You're singing all of Eddie's songs and acting as Eddie.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay.
Yeah, he's doing like No Control. He's doing Two Tickets to Paradise. But at the end of the show, I come out as the present Eddie Money, and we got the same suit on. And I come out and I do Take Me Home Tonight, and I do Think I'm in Love, and you know, all the big hits, all the bubblegum hits.
Fucking brilliant. You figured out a way to work half the time.
Yeah.
That's brilliant. Imagine if me and Jimmy are going to start doing that. We're going to have younger versions of ourselves, and then we're going to stroll in around 9:30 and do the last hour.
I remember Jimmy. How you doing, kid, huh? Weren't we in different rehabs together?
He's tickling me, but he's pointing at Sam. That's Sam.
Well, like, you know, Ray Charles.
He tickled me.
My favorite thing ever.
You got a really good-looking guy to play you, too, which is very smart.
Yeah.
Right,
Very handsome dude.
You'll be getting all the girls.
You look familiar.
Do I?
Have you done any other acting, or?
Well, I mean,
have you been F.H. Riley's if you're a Huntington guy, the Long Island guy?
I'm from Babylon, so it's kind of close. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Next stop, Babylon.
Yeah, next stop, Babylon, right? Yeah, no, I've done a lot of different stuff. Actually, worked on a lot of cruise ships in the last couple of years, so I was doing a lot.
Singing?
Singing, yeah, I did Disney for a while, actually, too. So, you know, do all the kid characters in Aladdin, and all that kind of stuff. Yeah.
So you're doing Eddie Money. Are you playing at all drugged out Eddie Money? Like, or is it tough covering that stuff?
Well, there's going to be a point, actually, pretty much in the second act where it establishes.
I wasn't always on drugs.
Oh, no, I know.
Right.
No.
My probation officer was in this right now.
Yeah, no, not the whole time. I'm just saying like that 30-year block.
Oh, yeah, we got that whole 30-year block. That's right there. Yeah. Actually, we're going to do a whole really cool segment to Mr. Jitters, actually. It makes a lot of sense, actually, in that aspect. So,
We'll
the
get
whole thing with that.
I think it's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
You is Water in the show? It's my favorite Eddie Money song.
Give me some water. It's not in the show. What, that mean? You're not coming or what?
Give me some water is a great song.
You know, give me some water. Might be in on
like
the
I
encore,
respect
I think.
the Take Me Home Tonight and all that.
Right,
Don't get me wrong in the 2 tickets, but Give Me Some Water is my favorite Eddie Money
That's a
song.
great tune, yeah.
Yeah. Maybe we'll play it. We'll play it as we leave today.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that. I could use the 7 cents.
Hey, do you like Spotify or do you get nothing from that?
I don't know what they pay me anymore.
Okay.
My wife gets all the checks. You know how that is.
How's that going?
Great.
Oh, Eddie Money.
Wow, how many years, though, Eddie?
27.
27 years.
Cop said to me, "Why'd you throw the phone at your wife?" I said, "I was just trying to knock the knife out of her hand." Give me a break.
How are you doing? Like, are you?
I'm working a lot. I got a lot of shows.
You doing okay?
I got a lot of hits, and we go out there and we work all the time, and it's great. I just did a party for my buddy Adam Sandler out in California.
Oh, okay.
It was great. I ran into Sammy Hagar. I hadn't seen him since the '80s. I've been doing a lot of work. You know, I got my son's career taken off. Des Money. My daughter's.
Wait, what does he do? You can't
He's
just casually say
He's
that.
really good.
Does he have anything we know yet?
No, he's not on the radio.
Okay.
You know, I got to start giving the publicist like $4,000 a month. So, you know. So if you got any cans, you can give me the return ticket. You know, let me know.
and what?
I'm looking for cans and bottles. You know.
And Adam Sandler hired you for a party, or?
No, Adam said we did a party. It was there. You know, it was there. Tommy James and the Chandels, which is really great. Sammy Hagar was there. Mickey Minaj, just a bunch of really fantastic people. It really had a good time.
Nice.
Adam's good people. He really is.
Yeah.
So you're happy
He's
with
Brooklyn, Adam? You know.
No, I know. We know he's a local guy.
I've never met him. He's one of the few comics I have not met ever. I guess because he's doing big movies.
He's not much of a guitar player.
You get that one?
Does he know that you think that? Do you ever tell him that?
When he started playing guitar, I was standing behind him. Mike Carino was there, a bunch of people, and he started playing guitar. I turned, I was going like this.
He's making the stink sign.
Adam's a good guy, though. I had a good time with him.
Yeah, New York guys always bond.
He's had a couple clever songs there, Eddie.
Yeah.
You know.
Kevin James, I'm trying to get him to come down to the play, because, you know, Kevin James and I were good buddies.
Are you really?
Yeah, we've known each other for a long time, yeah.
He's a good dude.
Another Long Island guy.
Are you, is he going to be coming?
I hope he makes it out. I don't know if he's in California, where he is. Who the hell knows what he's doing?
So why don't you take it on the road?
I don't know what he's... I think he's talking about buying another place on Long Island. Right now he lives out in California. He's trying to sell a place.
No, why don't you take the play on the road, though? You're only doing a couple of nights.
No, actually, we're thinking about taking the play to... we got people in Boston interested in it. We got people in Dallas that are interested in it. And, you know, I figure if you do the play... I mean, right now, I work so much, I'm like that chick that everybody fucked in high school. You know, if you go out there and you do the play, for like 6 months, and you go out on the road for 6 months, you know, you go up on the road, you make more money.
Right.
But you know, I love to get out on the road. I mean, I got 5 kids out there. When do you think you get out of the house?
Yeah, just to get away, right?
That's right. You know?
And that wife.
I did a show a couple of weeks ago. And this really good-looking girl. Guys, she was fantastic.
Yeah.
A low-cut red dress on with these matching high heels. You know me, I'm a shoe guy. And anyway, she's right below my feet, and she's crying. Makeup is running down her face, and she's, you know, weeping like a little girl that lost a puppy. And I was singing 2 tickets, so I couldn't really talk to her. So when the solo came around, I said, "Baby," she said, "you're standing on my fingers."
He just hushed really good. Did you get that one?
So, you have a you have a lot of cops in your family, and you were going to be a cop.
Yeah, my nephew's getting another job in Brooklyn, too.
Wow.
I think these cops are getting a really bad rap.
Yeah, thank you. I think so, too, sir, because, like, you know, most of them do the job right.
You know, it's not an easy job to begin with, and it's ridiculous.
What years did you do it?
I was on the job for a couple of years, back in the late 60s.
Wow.
Early 70s.
What was going on in the city?
Yeah.
You were a city cop in the 60s?
I worked in the 21st Precinct out here, which is the, you know, 1st Avenue and 21st Street.
So what did you see back in the late 60s as a cop in New York City?
Well, I worked undercover when I was on the police department.
So what were you busting people for?
I was an undercover typist. I typed the roll calls because I took, you know, they said to me when I went on the police department, they said, "Can anybody type?" I looked around the building and nobody, I raised my hands because I got thrown out of shop class.
Oh, no.
You know, it took you 3 years to make that salad bowl. Remember the shop class where the guy knew all the pressure points in your neck, how to get you, had your fingers and stuff like that. So I raised my hands, so I went up typing the roll calls, and I wound up working 8 to 4s. So I kept my rock band alive at night.
Oh, wow.
Which was really fantastic. And, you know, I mean, being a cop was a lot of fun because I had an easy job.
Right.
You know, I mean, the holidays would go around. I put the guys in the right squad cars. Everybody would be giving me all this liquor.
How many years were you there?
2 years.
Oh, 2 years. Were you there?
I went out to the 102, one of the 2 out in Jamaica. I had a real cushy job because my father was a patrolman of the year. It's all in the play, to tell you the truth. But
that's cool.
When I had the job in Manhattan, it was great. But then my father wanted me to get closer to come to Long Island, so I got out to the 102, which is in Jamaica. That's when things started falling apart.
What do you
mean falling apart?
Well, you know, I was smoking a bunch of pot, and I was in a rock band. You know, falling apart means falling apart. Read my book.
Sounds like your life got way better.
Hey, were you there when Serpico was there, or was that right?
You know, around the same time that Serpico was there. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
What year did he actually, the whole thing come apart with him?
All those cops hate Serpico, you know.
They do, right?
Yeah, they think he was a real rabbi, yeah. So what do you know about that?
They don't respect him for, like, hey, he took a moral stand and cleaned up the department. They see him as kind of
I thought the guy did a good job. You know, I'm a big Al Pacino fan, you know.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Right.
I never met Serpico. I thought it was Al Pacino.
Wasn't he back now? He was in hiding for a long time, and then he came back and started doing interviews?
I don't really know what he's doing, Serpico. But I've got a couple of nephews on the job and work out of Brooklyn. And I still got a lot of friends that work for the police department.
Are they worried with everything that's been going on? Are they worried?
Yeah, they're not very happy with everything. You know, and then they turn their backs on the mayor, which I would have never done because, you know, I'm too busy kissing ass. I'm not going to turn around if I'm going to be on TV. Yeah. I wind up doing 12 to 8 every morning. You know?
When they were turning their backs, I noticed a few guys didn't fully commit because they were probably thinking that exact point. Like,
Yeah, you
fuck,
know,
I think I'm on TV right now, so I'm going to make it look like I'm just turning to the side because I'm looking at something else for a second.
The civilian review board too, and that, you know, a lot of cops. You know, it's not a good thing. But I think the guys in the job in New York City are really some of the greatest policemen in the world.
They're not writing tickets or anything right now.
It's insane too.
They have slowed down their jobs big time.
Right.
You saw the stats in the paper the other day?
Yeah,
they're not giving out any tickets.
Horrible, you know.
Well, they're probably afraid they're afraid of being sitting targets. You know, it's like you're just coming out and writing a ticket. It's like you're wide open, and they feel very exposed.
And they're also making a bit of a statement.
Oh,
for
yeah.
sure.
They hurt the
little
city's
of everything, right?
Yeah,
that's exactly what they're trying to do is hurt the revenue.
A lot of people got, a lot of these cops can lose their temper. And then, this guy weighed, 300 pounds? The guy that the
Garner?
chokehold and stuff like that. But they checked the guy. There was nothing really wrong with his larynx at all. But then again, he was a big guy, and he couldn't breathe. But the guy also had diabetes, number one. He had emphysema. The guy was in really bad shape, you know.
Mm-hmm. Very unfortunate.
Yeah,
What happened?
of course he was selling cigarettes too. He should have quit smoking.
Lucy's.
Yeah. Guy's got emphysema. He's selling something. But it's a tough situation for everybody. You know, I think this is still the greatest city in the world, and I just hope everybody starts getting along.
Yeah,
that's what it's all about.
We got a karaoke CD. You want to sing a song?
Yeah, absolutely.
Could you guys
I
sing
guess so.
together or something?
Yeah, that's what we're doing.
All right, sure.
Yeah.
Which one you want? 2 tickets?
2 tickets.
Go right to the hit?
Sure, let's do it.
All right.
Seeing the man, there he is.
I'll sing.
That's right.
All right, what track is it, 2?
Do you need headphones, Eddie? I mean,
might help.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's do this. This is part of, I hope we're promoting the play properly. When once again,
the play's going to be like I said. It's 2 Tickets to Paradise at Malloy College.
Yes.
Which is off the exit 20 on the Southern State, and it's going to be on the 15th, the 16th, and the 17th.
Yeah, 16th, 17th,
and the 24th and the 25th.
Eddie, I want you to know I've never really done anything like this before.
Really?
Yeah. What?
What are you talking about?
Well, what's your line? I'm doing lines with Eddie Money. Do you remember your line?
Well, we're going to sing this one together. You want to
give
sing
me
the
the whole?
You come in on the chorus.
Well, what do you want him to do? Be a dummy like you guys and fake his way through 2 semesters of community college?
That's right, huh? That's what
You guys are going to be singing Sunrise Batty next year while I'm making money. Son of Patrolman of the Year. That's right. See, I'm on book.
Oh, yeah, you are.
So that really was Eddie's line, right?
Well, no, there's Eddie, and he narrates. And then there's young Eddie.
He's Eddie.
And I'm playing,
He plays it. I'll play.
I narrate the whole thing.
The character, the quote.
Who's Eds?
Who's Eds?
EDDDS.
That might be a typo.
We got the whole script here.
Yeah. Well, Billy says.
I know how this ends now. Why would you hand this to me?
Your brother.
It's good to read on the toilet. Check it out.
Your brother Danny is probably smoking better stuff than this in Vietnam.
Hey,
Well, it's like Godspell or Hair or Jesus Christ Superstar. It takes place in the late 60s.
Okay.
Which was like really a great time to be, the summer of love. I went out to California in 1968. And, we had a lot of fun out there. And I think the play really represents that whole period, like a Godspell or a Hair.
Did you make it to San Francisco when you went out that way?
Yeah, I got signed by Bill Graham in about 7 years later.
75.
I got signed on Sounds of the City, which was like amateur night. at Winterland. But we had 2 Tickets to Paradise and Baby Hold On, and I was very lucky. And Bill Graham was a great guy.
Right.
And Columbia Records was really big back then. Black Rock was right over here. They used to have every floor had about 20, 37 people. Now they got 37 people working in the whole building.
All right, quit clowning around. I want to run through my masterpiece.
Good job, Jimmy.
Thank you.
Nice.
You guys ready for this?
I don't know the lyrics. Hold on.
I've got a surprise now, especially for Opie and Anthony. Something that both of us have always wanted to do. You waited so long.
Oh, yeah.
You waited so long. You waited so long.
Oh, yeah.
You waited so long. Take it, man.
I'm gonna take you on a trip so far from here.
I've got 2 tickets in my pocket, baby. Disappear.
You know why?
You waited so long. You waited so long.
Oh, yeah.
You waited so long. You waited so long.
Ready?
Yeah.
I've got 2 tickets to paradise. Won't you pack your bags and leave tonight? I've got 2 tickets to paradise. I've got 2 tickets to paradise. I've got 2 tickets to paradise. Won't you pack your bags and leave tonight? I've got 2 tickets to paradise. I've got 2 tickets to paradise. Woo! It's fun
Very good. Thanks. Thank you.
It's fun to do the low part.
Thanks.
I saw that.
I don't need the ladder,
You're like, hey, take this part for me.
Give it to the kid, right?
Very nice.
Thank you.
Very nice.
I think you'll have a good time when they get out to give the play. We'll give away a bunch of tickets and stuff like that.
It's going to be a great show.
Yeah.
How many shows a night? One a night?
We're doing one a night on the first night is Friday and Saturday, right?
Yeah, correct. Yep.
So my wife's not really crazy about the show because the last time we did the show, it was actually very successful. We got a good review in the New York Times.
Nice.
Newsday was very nice to us. But my wife didn't like the play because she didn't like the girl that played her. You know how women are.
Yes.
They drive you crazy, I don't, I wasn't like that at all.
What was the difference between your wife and the girl that played your wife?
Well, she wasn't blonde. Wait, was she blonde in the first
She
time?
was a good-looking girl. You know how women are.
It was casting. They just say, hey, it's casting.
Yeah, exactly.
Are you trying to say they pumped her up a little bit and that made her mad?
She was a good-looking girl. I mean, she's not as pretty as my wife. My wife might be listening right now. Like that.
Yes. Did you get to hang out with her all?
Well,
Well,
the one that's
playing,
show, find out.
the one that's playing Laurie right now is very good.
Yeah,
It's
she's
good.
great.
And a lot of songs from the play are actually my biggest record. Actually, was the No Control album, and we got songs like "Take a Little Bit" on that, and "No Control," and it's had a lot of big hits on that record. So, the play really represents the life of Eddie Money. I mean, I had I had about 12 to 14 songs in the top 100. That's only as money as Billy Joel, I should have saved the money. Who knew? Huh?
Yeah, exactly.
Who knew, huh?
But it was coming forever,
How many
right?
rock stars, shop with double coupons, for Christ's sake? What's on sale there?
What happened to your money, Eddie? It's in your name.
I should have married a blind woman.
Oh, really?
Well, we got an apartment right over here on 58th Street.
Okay.
I live in Lady Gaga's building, and she's a sweetheart. A lot of people, that woman is just a sweetheart. Plus, she gave me a nice shout-out in Rolling Stone. She said she grew up listening to me and Bon Jovi.
Nice.
I said, how could you listen to somebody from New Jersey, for Christ's sakes?
Would you do a duet? Would you do a duet with her? Like Tony Bennett's now on doing gigs with Lady Gaga.
Yeah.
I think the Lady Gaga was just super nice to me. She's very nice to my wife. I thought she was a real lady. I thought she was a pleasure to be around. She asked me if I wanted to go down for the tree lighting ceremony. I said, I'm going to watch it on TV. It's too cold out.
Yeah, good for you.
We got a big Rolls Royce out there. I would have gotten in there.
Why don't you go hang out with Lady Gaga? That would have been fun.
I saw her for 10 minutes. That's enough.
He doesn't care. Anybody's a real. I thought real rock star. He's like, yeah, fuck it, I'm staying here.
What do I care about Lady
You still
I'm married.
Are you trying to write new stuff or where are you at with
I got a new record right now. If you look at Tom Petty. He hadn't put a record out in 10 years.
It's a good record.
He didn't put,
It's a
he put a
strong
new record
record.
out right now, and he was #1 on the charts for 2 weeks.
Right.
I haven't put a record out in 15 years, and I got a record ready to go that's got some really good material on it.
Yeah.
So I'm going to put that out and see what happens.
When's it coming out?
I don't know.
Do you know what it's called?
I don't know. I'm going to call it Shake That Thing, because I got a song on it called Shake That Thing, which is kind of like an instrumental with me doing, it's a good, I'm very proud of the record. It's going to be a good one.
How long did you work on it for? Sorry, how long did you work on it for?
Well, I've worked on it for about 2.5 years.
Oh, okay.
Is it done?
It's completely done.
All right.
10
Is it
songs.
done? Have you heard it? You're not playing it for the kid?
No, what gives? No, I'm kidding.
No, I haven't seen it. The record's done. The record's a side project right now. Right now, I'm trying to get people to come down to this play.
Right.
What are the exact
Yeah,
dates
that's
of
what
it?
got me focused on him, right?
I should tell everybody I got to rebuild. Eddie's got a disease. He might not be around next year. Then I'll come back next year and go, I found the great doctor. I found the great doctor.
He's going to punch you.
Yes, Eddie has the Ebola virus, so come down and see January 16th and 17th, also the 24th and 25th. It's called Two Tickets to Paradise, the musical. It's at Madison Theater at Malloy College in Rockville Center. And you're Matt, right?
Yes.
And you're playing
Matt
Eddie.
Burns, yeah.
And you sing phenomenally well, so I'm sure it's a really
He
good
sounds
play.
like I used to sound like,
No,
You still
your
sound, you
voice is
sing
exactly
like an
the
angel.
same.
Eddie.
You sound
You still
great,
sound
I quit
good.
smoking on the 1st, which is crazy.
That's
I was
6
smoking
days
Raleigh.
ago.
I was smoking Raleighs. I was saving up the coupons for a chest X-ray.
How many years did you smoke?
I smoked since I was 14.
Oh, wow.
Too many years.
You ever do stand-up? You got a lot of material.
Jeez.
Have you tried it?
I don't know. Stand up, I don't know. You tell jokes on stage, the fans love it, but the critics hate it, He's not funny. My wife says, I told you weren't funny. They come to hear you sing.
Tell her. Oh, no. Were you telling jokes on stage and your wife didn't care for it?
Yeah, of course not.
Tell her to lay off.
I told her to take I said, take a couple of Midals and lay down, honey.
Yeah, you're the breadwinner. You set the rules.
Right.
Put your foot down,
But she
Eddie.
books the bands,
All right, fair enough. So it's an equal partnership. Let me tell you.
I wouldn't say it's equal, guys. Come on.
No.
Give me a break, huh? I don't see any chicks in the studio.
Absolutely.
Let's tell her
There
like
never
it-
are.
We're smart.
Let's tell her like it is, son.
We're smart. They
What-
get in the way, Eddie.
How long are you married?
We've been together since, I actually got married in Puerto Vallarta when, we had to get married because kids started parochial school and we had 2 different last names. So I got married, I think, in 1994, but we've been together since 1987.
Are you a romantic guy?
Well, I like to get I get it when I can, it is.
Oh, yeah. Eddie has a healthy drive.
If I was a gay guy, I'd be the richest guy in the studio right now, I'll tell you.
Why? You probably still are.
But then again, we got a large gay following, so I can't knock it. Anybody that comes to the show, I'm very happy to see him. We'll try to get you tickets up front.
Great. All right. I think we're done for
Yeah,
today,
the great
actually.
Eddie Money, and really, EddieMoney.com, and the place seems like it's a lot of fun. Go see a very interesting life.
It's really a lot of play. It got great reviews, and I think if people aren't doing anything on Friday night there, I wish the weather was so cold. Last time we put the play on in 2009, I put it on in June. And I worked like 3-4 weeks putting the play on. As a matter of fact, the kid that played me, his name was Jesse Kent. She won that Rising Star competition.
Okay.
But I think Matt actually does better Eddie Money than Jesse did. Not that Jesse wasn't good, but Matt's more theatrical.
Okay.
And we put the play on in June, and my wife was bitching and moaning because you're giving up $35,000 gigs for your play. And she calls my fans, she doesn't call them idiots, she calls them idiots. Idiots, But it's a lot of fun, and I think people will really enjoy it. You'll get to hear 2 tickets. Baby Hold On, Take Me Home Tonight, Think I'm in Love, Shakin', and a lot of the Broadway songs are really a lot of fun.
We've had a lot of popular songs.
We had a lot of hits. We're very lucky.
You're like the Eagles. You don't realize how many big Eddie Money songs there are until you see like a greatest hits
Let
album.
me
You're
keep
like,
going.
holy
Oh,
shit.
yeah. That one, too.
Oh, that one. Oh, right.
okay,
Yeah. There's like
yeah.
12 of them.
Well, you guys have been on the air a long time, and I want to thank you very much for having me on the show, because it's always a lot of fun with you guys.
Well, you're a delightful man, and we love having you.
Yeah, come
You're
back.
very honest.
Come back soon. It's been a while.
How about tomorrow?
Yeah. Well, it wasn't that delightful, Eddie.
Hey, but by the way, push the show, guys. You got to push the show.
We're pushing.
You got to push.
And look, indoors is okay. Even if it's cold out, you're not outdoors. If it was an outdoors thing, this would be a bad time to do it. But it's inside.
I did a show last week. It was like 22 degrees, and I was outside. I couldn't believe how freezing it was.
Crazy.
Really, really cold.
Where?
I can't remember.
Okay.
All right.
I'll put my wheelchair in the sun.
Fort Lauderdale.
I'm going to play my favorite Eddie Money song.
Okay.
Okay, what is that?
I told you already. You
Some
don't listen to me. I'm listening to you.
Well, he's busy.
Give me some water.
Oh, shot a man on the Mexican border.
Yeah,
I actually wrote that song for a group called Rage. And I was never going to put the song on the record. These were really good buddies of mine. They were a young band coming up. But the wives, the wives in the bands, the guitar player's wife didn't get along with the drummer's wife. And so the band broke up. So I decided to put Give Me Some Water on my record.
Did Rage end up becoming anything else? Any of those guys?
They just
disappeared, all of them?
Completely,
Wow.
But I was with Mike Reno and Sammy Hagar last week, and they jumped up on stage and did that way. It's Mike Reno's favorite song. Remember that song, Everybody's Working for the Weekend?
Of course.
Yeah.
Mike Reno stole that from Everybody Rock and Roll the Plays. But good people, you steal what you can if you get away with it. You know that.
Right.
Yeah.
All right. The great Eddie Money, and certainly
Matt
Burns. Matt Burns.
Thank you,
It's been a
Matt.
pleasure. Thank you.
Okay.
Opie and Anthony, hang out. Huh? Come down and see me. Exit 20 off the Southern State.
But then he thought Sam was you. So
Yeah, he's
all over
one
the
click
place.
off. That's all right. I'm Jim.
Just slightly off.
Didn't I see your picture on the post office wall or what?
Probably with the side of a milk carton. The youngster next to me.
Here's Give Me Some Water from Eddie Money, and we'll see you guys tomorrow.
Thanks, guys.
All right.